Hello and welcome to the Computer Game Show. My name's David Turner and I'm here with Sean Bell.
Hello.
Matt Murray.
Hello.
And James Farley.
Hello.
We would like to start the show, as we always start the show, by honouring our full Nels crew. The Patreon producers for this month are Aaron Patrick, Simon Nelson, Tom S., Jack Oven, Moomin Biscuit, Richard Sawyer, Dave Ernsberger, Colin Brown, Gazman, Gabby Pereira, and Graham McKay, the full Nels crew. If you would like to go full Nels, or if you would like to support us in any way, then please go to patreon.com/TCGS. You can listen to bonus podcasts, you can watch live talksovers, or you can join the elite, the full Nels crew. Thank you so much for all your support. Make sure, if you don't support us, then, you know, we just feel a little bit bitter that you're listening to this for free. Don't we, boys?
Not really.
A little bit bitter.
I mean, we could be
just me.
We could be peppering these people with adverts for Audible and all sorts, but we don't, you know.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
we're doing our side.
So basically, yeah, like if you don't pay up, I just hope you feel fucking lucky.
Can we get some like leaflets printed out for like Lisa mattresses and all that sort of stuff, and then just mail them to the people that don't support us on Patreon? So
how would we get them
through the door?
We get their addresses, or do we just? I mean, if we just mailed one to every address in the UK, statistically, we'll mostly get people who don't support this podcast financially.
Exactly.
That'll work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, Sean, I like that thinking. We've got a big week next week, haven't we, Matt? Big week. Do you want to go into the details?
Yeah, so as you're listening to this on Wednesday, yesterday was TCGS's 5th
I was going to say,
birthday.
technically a big week this week.
It was,
surely.
yeah, it was technically Tuesday. Yeah, but yeah.
Yeah, we'll get onto that in a minute.
Okay, right. Yeah, okay, we'll get onto that in a minute. Let's talk about what we're doing next week before we talk about
as
why.
In time-honoured tradition, we didn't organise anything ahead of time. Because we you know, we knew it was early April, we knew the date, but then life's been busy, and then so last week after the show last week, we're like,
it was ridiculous, Matt. Last week, before we recorded last week's show, we all said, right, it's our birthday next week, 5 years, it's a big one, right? I can't believe we've been going 5 years. Let's do the podcast live next week, right, on Twitch. That'd be great. We recorded the podcast, then after we finished recording, Matt went, we forgot to mention it, and we were like, oh well, okay, well, we'll put it up on the socials and everything, that'll be fine. And then yesterday, well, no, was it yesterday or this morning? This morning we all got a message on our calendars on our phone saying TCGS birthday tomorrow, and we were like, yeah, we were supposed to organise the live thing, weren't we? And we never did. We just forgot.
Yeah,
that happens every year. This happens. Yeah, every year we miss our little birthday celebrations because we forget.
It was yesterday, and so this morning, as you know, we're getting ready to record this show you're listening to right now. There was a discussion in WhatsApp about whether we should do this podcast live on Twitch, and some of us said yes, others, I mean, myself included, said, I really would want to promote it on the podcast. It's kind of harsh for people who only listen to the podcast. Not everyone's on social media. You know, those people just don't get a chance to get involved or listen. Suddenly it's just, that one must have been live on Twitch. I wasn't told.
Who wanted to do it tomorrow?
Okay, let's talk
Who was
about
adamant
this.
that it should happen tomorrow?
I wanted this to
let's talk
happen.
about it.
No, I wanted this to happen on the day because I thought that'd be interesting.
Why?
I thought that'd be... What do you mean, why? It was the day. What's wrong with that?
What do you mean?
What do you... Okay, why do I have to justify it?
It's just...
No, don't bring up the children thing because that is a load of rubbish.
on the day. It's strange.
That is a load of rubbish. That happened once because my wife happened to be in another country and I didn't want my children to have a birthday without their mother. Is that okay? I think that's fine. So I just thought that it would be nice to do it on the actual day, right? And then you're all just like, oh no, no one will know. I said, okay, we just record a 30-second thing and put it out on the podcast feed saying, we're going to do this if you want to listen to it.
Who's we?
I'll do it. I don't care. Anyone could have done it. It would have
been
been
fine.
publish
it, are you?
Wait, hang on, James, hang on.
What?
Do you know how?
What do you mean? I know how to record a podcast.
How would you put... Yeah, but Matt's got to put it on the feed, though, hasn't he?
I'm sure it's very difficult to press upload on something. You know, it's like...
James! Fuck's sake!
This is also the same person that you said, you can knock up some Instagram art, can't you,
that was part of a joke, which,
On the bank holiday. Also, James, it was very clear certainly to me and Matt.
It's always clear. It's always clear to you. Oh,
this.
James just doesn't want to record the podcast tonight. No.
Exactly what?
Why would that be? Why would that be? What difference does it make?
As soon as you said that, I thought, well, Chelsea already played this weekend, so it can't be that.
Yeah, no, I looked at the fixtures.
See, I hate the way that you just assume that there's some sort of ulterior motive when I just thought it'd be nice. What's wrong with that?
Why? I'll tell you why, James, because you've never been passionate about anything we've done other than when it moves a podcast to a later date.
That's not true.
That's when your passion really comes out, and it's usually because Chelsea are playing.
Yeah,
you can't be bothered.
Go on.
This is not fair. I mean, this is just... I mean, look, I was trying to do something here that I thought would be nice, for like, it was on the day, and then you're just having a go at me for it. It's not fair.
No one fucking knows what the day is anyway. No one knows.
Well, they do. We've already told them.
When's TCGS birthday? I don't know. No one knows. We could have told them that next week was actually our birthday.
People will check.
Yeah, I know. Ben would have checked and tweeted us, but we can mute him. Have we got him muted?
Oh, he's blocked it.
Oh, right, okay, cool.
I mean, he's also one of our moderators,
James.
but yeah.
Shit,
that's how he does it.
I should say, yeah, because we're sort of ganging up on James here. There was part of me that also thought it was a bit wank doing it a week late. But I totally get the argument that it's better to give people more notice and get more people involved.
You've got to let people know that it's happening.
Yeah, it is a bit wank. And in a perfect world, we would have definitely done it tonight, tomorrow, in fact. But we lost our luxury because we didn't organise it in time.
Do you know what stings even more for me, though? It's just the fact that our 5th birthday episode will be episode 247. Just 3 away from a nice round 250.
Well, we could delay it
just delay it a couple of weeks. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Just say it's on that day. It's fine.
Yep.
I can't believe we can
give people loads of notice that they'll rearrange their schedules so that they won't watch us on Twitch in the same way that they still won't watch it on Twitch. This is absurd.
James is more passionate about doing a birthday thing for the birth of a podcast than he is his own kid.
That is totally unfair.
Hang on a minute. Does this mean hang on? So will our 6th birthday fall on episode 300 or thereabouts? I reckon we can wing that.
Fucking hell! What do you want from me, Sean? Jesus, what a question!
Bit of mathematics, mate. You design buildings for a living. This is nothing.
That is too much for me.
Just adding 52.
It depends how many James tries to skip. Because then that's a variable, isn't it? That's
true.
What they call a variable.
That's what they call a variable. Anyway,
element of chaos.
I guess what we're trying to say is next week we're doing this podcast live on Twitch. It will still be out as a podcast on Wednesday in audible form as usual. But if you want to, you can watch us record it live next Monday, yeah?
Monday. Yeah,
yes,
I think so.
Yeah, we record it. We record it the day where the rules change, ladies and gentlemen. The day where the rules change. That'll help you remember.
It from a pub.
Yes, but only the beer garden. No, the 12th of April at 9 p.m. British summertime. Yep. That is BST. So if you're American, don't look up GMT because we ain't on that at the moment. Yeah, we're BST. 9 p.m. on Twitch. What is it?
Twitch.tv/TCGS Co.
That's it, TCGS Co. So come on down and bring your subs. We want those lovely subs.
Bring your Amazon Prime it'll be lovely to have you down with your Amazon Prime Gaming sub in hand. And you can watch or record it live.
Or just the money one. Or you could do the money one as well.
We do get more if it's the money one.
Yeah, we get more if it's the money one, and also bits. Also, we'll set up a PayPal.me account. You can just wire the money straight into. Right, okay. Should we get onto the feedback from last week's show?
Yeah, we should. Let's start with Peter Ian Staker. Every time I read one of his names, I'm like,
I was going to say, is this the food one?
Yeah, what is that? Peter Ian Staker.
Peter Ian Staker.
You've not got a staker?
Probably just his name.
No, staker. I've watched a device that stakes.
Yeah, I am to stake. Yeah, okay. Re-stake chat. I worked in kitchens for 6 years. some high-end places where shit was serious, and some low-end places where it's just shit. The whole how do you have your steak and I only have my steaks medium rare bollocks annoys me. Some steaks are better suited for rare, others medium rare. It all depends on the fat content. If someone served you a ribeye that had been cooked rare, fucking slap them with the steak. Never settle for anything less than a good, properly cooked steak. Also, fried egg with a steak is an American thing. Fucking weirdos. Podcast is great, by the way.
I mean, that's fine.
Imagine going to a restaurant. How do you like your steak? What percentage fat content is there? It's not going to happen, is it, mate? I never want to be in a position when I'm asking that question.
What percentage fat content is it, and can I have an egg on it? That's what you want to...
Get out I am American, despite the accent. I thought our only point was that basically James, who likes his well done, can fuck off. And but beyond that...
Yeah. Yeah, what percentage fat is required to have it smouldering?
Yeah, I don't think we were saying medium rare or forget it. I think there was plenty of wiggle room in there as long as it's not well done.
Well, yeah, but whenever you're in a steak restaurant, you're just saying the same thing every time, aren't you? You're always saying medium rare.
Yeah.
You're never going to turn around and go, well, based on the...
What they're saying is, they're saying, ribeye has this certain fat content, a sirloin probably has that.
Yeah, it depends on the cut, basically.
Yeah, depending on the cut of meat, you should go for a certain style of cook. Yeah.
Style of cook.
A certain amount.
What style of cook do you want your steak done at, sir?
It's been a long week. How much cook do you want? Well, I want a lot of cook. Okay.
How much rare cook style, please?
Rare cook. Oh, medium extra cook, please.
Okay, mate. All right, you sound like a steak boffin. It's right. Okay, it's cool to care about things. Yeah. Okay. All right, boffin. It's cool to care about things. It's uncool to care about things that much, mate. Yeah. Now get it. You can make me a lovely sandwich.
I mean, it begs the question. If what Peter Ian Staker is saying is correct, I'm not saying it isn't. That's not me. I'm not casting aspersions. I'm just saying, why do we even get asked the question then?
Well, first of all, good point. But first of all, right, he's absolutely correct. There's no way he's not correct about this. And if I'm dropping the wackiness for a moment, I'm probably going to look that up and look into that and see what I should be ordering. Yeah. But I don't know, man. Yeah, don't ask me. And what would you do, right? If they come over and they said, "How'd you like your steak?" Well, what should I be having it? And looking at the waitress,
that's the thing. In a good restaurant, they would probably recommend.
Yeah, you could just say, "What do you recommend?"
If you go to Spoons,
oh man, yeah. But how often do you go to a good fucking restaurant? I can't afford that.
Recently, never.
Good point. Good point. Maybe we need to properly re-educate ourselves before returning to the world of restaurants.
Yeah,
maybe that needs to happen.
I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. They haven't asked me about the fat content. Well, I'll move up.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
What Yates's? That's next, isn't it?
Spoons, Yates's, Frankie and Benny's.
Where
else can you go from there? There's nowhere else.
How close is Frankie and Benny's to being a bit racist in there? How close?
I don't know.
It's pretty close, isn't it?
It's been a long time since I've been in one.
Well, it's supposed to be Italian themed, although it's American Italian themed.
Yeah.
But you walk in there and it's like the moment you walk in, when someone hits your spaghetti, and you're just going, is this offensive now? Are we going to look back on this in 10 years ago? This is a bit much, isn't it? Fucking hell.
Yeah. I think we'll be sitting down with our grandchildren saying, once upon a time there's a restaurant where they just played, this music, and it was fine.
Can't even go into an Italian-themed restaurant and listen to That's Amore anymore. It's fucking...
Back in my day...
PC gone mad. All I want is some mama's spaghetti bolognese. It's acceptable at the moment. Frankie and Benny's is still open. That's the canary in the mine.
I mean, there is a really interesting ongoing discussion about this, cultural issues in food and stuff. But I don't know if Frankie and Benny's is on anyone's radar for cancellation just yet.
Radar. Maybe they should be. How they avoided that? Oh God.
Yeah, because you asked for your steak well done, mate.
I quite like them.
I've got no beef.
The wait was over an hour one time. It was ridiculous, and it was terrible.
Yeah, but you shouldn't judge all restaurants because one of them made you wait a bit.
Plus, I guarantee the staff were doing their best in a probably impossible situation.
I don't think so.
James, can I ask you a question? Right, I'm not with you there, Sean. You can't consider that. If you're waiting for an hour for your food, it doesn't matter what sort of thing the staff are going through. It's ridiculous. An hour for your food. What are you doing there? Secondly, are you the sort of person that writes like Google reviews on restaurants?
No, I never do that. No, I'm not one of those.
Ah, it's such a shame.
He answered that too quickly. I think he's trying to get us off the scent here, Dave.
I usually read them for comedy purposes because they are very funny often. But
I know. Yeah. The best doing it. Have you ever done it for doctor's surgeries? Go to your local doctor's surgery and read the reviews for them. It's fucking hilarious.
Oh my God.
Hilarious. They're all like either glowing or really angry.
I can say this because I don't think. Well, they don't listen to the show, and who cares, even if they did. But
are you going to talk about Frankie or Benny now? Which one are you going to attack?
Not Benny, the prick.
Please don't tell me you're going to say something like, it's a very good restaurant, and then it's the internet.
No, it's about Google. At our previous job, we found out that someone was quite secretly but passionately leaving Google reviews for ATM machines.
Whoa.
Yes. I mean, that was a wild day. And then we found his profile like, wow, you've literally reviewed every ATM machine.
Oh, someone you knew had been doing that.
Someone used to work with, yeah. We looked over his shoulder like, what are you doing? I mean,
were they funny though, or?
No, entirely serious.
No way.
This one's got melted keys. Or things like that.
Yeah, it's like melted keys, or like someone leaving the shop to your left can easily see you, or someone's always too close here.
Fucking chewing gum all over the sides.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
This one's
almost. Was this like a Tyler Durden situation? Was it actually you, Matt? Is this what's going on?
No. I review public urinals. So don't. Move on to this next one.
Let's move on.
It's from Colander Adam. I think
that doesn't even fit the format.
It could be Capone Adam. But no,
that makes sense.
It does. It's
Colander, isn't it? Let's read it. Although surely he would
it doesn't work. Of course, it's Capone Adam.
I've just seen the first sentence. It is definitely sorry. Go on.
But when I was in my early 30s and I'd just moved to Canada and I needed to pre-order Zelda Skyward Sword as I was terrified of not getting on day one. There were no local game shops in my area, but I thought I'd give the local HMV a chance. So I walked in and declared that I would like to order a copy of Zelda: A Skyward Sword. The cashier looked confused. I soon got the sense that people generally don't pre-order games months in advance here, especially in HMV. They asked me...
Is HMV slightly different over there? Is it like a...
Yeah.
It's like a...
So this is a Wendy's.
Dealer.
They asked me if it was for PlayStation, Xbox, or the Nintendo Wii. In my head, my mind was blown. I love that. in my head,
it says no. That's word.
In my head, it says my mind was blown.
Yeah, this person working in a shop that sells games questioned if a Zelda game was coming to PlayStation or Xbox. So I just said, forget it. Turned around and walked out to catch a bus to the mall.
Nice.
That HMV closed down soon after. I remember walking past it the first time I saw a closing down sign and thinking, yep, not surprised.
Thank you for that little anecdote. I appreciate that.
Yeah, not surprised. Oh, yeah. Anyway, Cena. Dear TCGS confounding variables. To add my 2 cents to the Wheeler Dealer chat of the last few weeks, I'm surprised Matt did not go in on the NVIDIA 30 series graphics card scalping bonanza. You guys think PS5 scalping is bad. An RTX 3080 graphics card bought for 650 quid in September is now going for 1,800 quid easy on eBay. Ooh. It's almost nauseating, and the scary thing is that it could go up even further. PS, the 4 of you would have such a blast on Valheim together. Very streamable game too, but you have to twist Dave's arm to get into it.
Well, we'd have to twist Dave's arm to getting a PC first, wouldn't we?
There's that.
And James.
I've no interest in that game. Sorry.
All right.
Crafting in it.
Just pretend. Just say, I haven't got a PC. Sorry, mate.
Yeah, sorry. I haven't got a PC. I haven't got a PC. That's why I don't want to play it.
You do crafting in Breath of the Wild, though.
Yeah, I know, but it's...
You like that?
Yeah. And Animal Crossing.
I avoid that as much as possible.
Horizon Zero Dawn. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, he's put his foot down with that one, guys.
Certainly has.
We ain't getting
no chance.
I haven't got a PC. Sorry.
I mean, I'm convinced. I mean, the NVIDIA thing. Obviously, I've been seeing that, but I don't. That's a lot of money, and
that's all down to the cryptocurrency or whatever, isn't it? what is it called? Cryptocurrency.
Cryptocurrency, yeah. Well, yes and no. I mean, these things were just really hard to get hold of generally, and also with depleted stocks thanks to COVID and lockdown. But NVIDIA have done things now to kind of make these less appealing for cryptocurrency miners anyway. But anyway, we'll move on. Hey, Mitch. Hey, guys, just a very quick one. Sean, you need to play Loop Hero. That is all. Cheers.
I've got it,
Sean.
That's just not played it.
That's half the battle, isn't it?
Yep.
That's not really a reply to that, though, Sean, is it? He's saying that you need to play it.
Okay, so, I guess my official reply is, okay, I will.
That's a good reply. I imagine your head down and your shoulders dropped. As you
sorry.
said that, your hands in your pockets,
Mitch,
and
I'm
twiddling
sorry.
your foot in a circle.
I'm sorry, Mitch. I'll make it happen, I promise. No,
Cool.
it was. I'd said a few weeks back I thought it'd be a good one to sort of have on while I'm working from home. But then I had like an actual very busy couple of weeks at work, and then I've just been off for the last few days, so it's just not really happened yet. But it will, I promise.
Look at you, just giving your excuses.
Listen,
you don't have to answer.
And then one day my PC didn't work, and then I fell over.
Yeah.
And then
and also I haven't got a PC, and I've no interest in that sort of game. And
I hate you, Mitchy Mitch.
You can't copy excuses off of James Farley.
Why not?
Sean,
he's got all the best ones.
He does have good ones. Yeah, yeah, there's a good one. Go on.
Eliza Coffin. Eliza Coffin. So that's sort of
Is that
is that what that's going for? Eliza Coffin.
I mean, Eliza Coffin.
Whoever says that though? You never see a tombstone just says, "Here lies a coffin."
A coffin. Well, we know it's a tombstone.
We figured that
It'd
much
be weird
out.
if it wasn't.
I think we've said it more times than it's ever been said, ever, like in that last few minutes.
No,
do you think
Eliza,
we're overanalyzing
if that's
this?
actually her name, if that's actually her name, then probably saying Eliza Coffin over and over again, and I mean that's offensive. So,
but it might also be like a comment on her on current health. You know, Eliza's. I hate those direct shows.
What?
She's coughing. Forget it. I hate
It
those
doesn't really
direct
work
shows.
though.
Don't know what the PlayStation one is even called. They're called State of Play because they're so cheap to produce. They feel like they don't need to cram everything into one show. So what you end up with is loads of shows, but they only have one game I care about. So it doesn't make it worthwhile to watch any of them.
What?
I don't know how
This doesn't make any sense at all. But go on.
No, I'm quite confused.
I love that full process.
I mean, if we read the message first, we might not have given the name so much credit as to analyse it over and over again.
Sure, that was the high point.
Keep going.
No, yeah. So shall I read that first bit again?
No, just continue.
No. I don't know how Nintendo keep getting away with showing a load of BS, a load of B games no one cares about, then ending this show saying, "Don't worry, we're still working on the good one," or having the Smash Pokemon show where all they announce is new characters or some Gaiden game. Or Gaiden game. I want the big epic shows of 50 games back, showing you everything the company has to offer.
Probably don't have COVID anymore.
Yeah,
is probably the thing.
I mean that's
just
kind
a
of big
surname,
impact on
James.
it. There's a shut up, man. You've got to remember that last year Nintendo put out a really good one, didn't they? Their Mario one was really good. It was all the stuff that come out afterwards that was really bad about it. But what I will say is that when I read something like this, I think, you know what we're missing? E3. That's what we're missing. We need a proper E3 this year. Mm-hmm. And the E3 have come out and said, no, we're going to do it this year. And we've not heard from even Nintendo, Sony or Microsoft about whether they're getting involved or not. I'm worried. What is it? 2 months away?
Well, this is it, and I know this isn't in the news, is it? So we're not jumping the gun or anything. But yeah, the fact that they're still like, oh, we're sort of having talks with partners about what we can do, and it's like it's fucking 2 months away. What the fuck? How do you not have a plan?
There was that. It's like we're having talks with partners, and we might charge people to watch it. It's like, how do you feel about that?
Wasn't that was debunked, wasn't it? I think
it was. Yeah,
that was debunked. Yeah. That was bullshit. But like, I mean, the fact that neither of the big three has said that they're going to be doing something around that time.
Well, they're not going to, are they? I mean, first of all, they probably have nothing, like for the, at the moment because of all the situation of what's going on. And also, why would you want to associate yourself with E3 at the moment? It's a mess. It's just do it on your own. It's easier.
Bring it back. What if the three of them just got together and said, no, let's do our own thing? And we'll call it Games Party. Games Party Weekend.
GPMF.
The super cool Games Party Weekend.
I'll be up for that.
Yep.
Yeah,
I mean, this week or in the last few days, Jeff Keighley has confirmed that Summer Game Fest is back. It says in June. I was looking on the website. It never actually fully... It just says June. It doesn't say, every day in June or June to fucking October like last time.
Is it Jeff Keighley's announcing that Summer Games Fest is back in June?
And July, and August, and September.
August and September.
There's no dates, so I've got a bit worried again. But
I hope they do condense it a bit.
But then,
they had the, for all I take the piss out of Jeff Keighley and stuff, that live performance of the Outer Wilds soundtrack was like easily a highlight of the sort of E3-ish period from last year. Like, more stuff like that was fucking great. That was really cool.
Fine, that's fine. But what I want is 3 intense days of marketing injected into my eyes.
Yeah,
that's what I want at like fucking 3 a.m. or whatever.
Yeah.
I've got loads of hype, loads of lies.
We don't watch
just
it
the whole
and then
thing.
lie about it and all that. Gee, our fucking E3 shows were amazing, and now they're gone, Sean. I'm devastated.
Yep.
Absolutely devastated. What have you done, Phil? What have you done? All right, okay, let's go.
Tiny Tim has messaged, "Hello, sirs. I saw your stream of It Takes Two, and I'd like to make a public service announcement. After Mr. Farley made a few lewd quips about the shape of the vacuum cleaner, he mentioned that he expected to find condom stuck in there.
Yeah.
Apart from being an 11-year-old footballer, I'm a vacuum collector, and I don't know of any model, not even a Dyson, that can withstand the strain of a used Johnny. Please do not hover these up. Thank you.
Hoover these up. But also, Tiny Tim, I mean, it was a talking vacuum, so I'm assuming that in this fantasy world that Farley was commenting on, you also in your day-to-day life haven't come across a talking vacuum yet. I think that might be.
I mean, he is a collector. We don't know.
They were making that joke though, right? Because John and I said the same thing, and I watched the Eurogamer stream of the opening to that game, and they said, "Are they making a joke that the dad puts his penis in the vacuum cleaner?"
Yeah,
you were saying the same thing.
Implied.
Properly. Like, it's too obviously, like, some of the innuendo during that conversation was too clear for it not to be the case, right? What a weird game that is. What a weird, bizarre, tonally especially, it is just weird, that game. It goes places you wouldn't think it would, but there you go. Okay, cool. No condoms in vacuum cleaners, please, listeners.
John, have you got anything to say about that, James? Or?
No, not really, no. It's,
cool.
Fair point.
Daniel Moore. Hi guys, love the show and I'm proud to be a patron, supporter / TCGS hoodie wearer. Since listening to the show, I've been made really aware of when people use the phrase "in the beginning," to the point where last week in a staff meeting, someone said James's signature phrase, and I retorted a little too loudly, "in the beginning," in Dave's old man voice. Are there any phrases from other... Oh, no, and then it goes into the question. Are there other phrases from other podcast media that you're overly aware of and can't help but repeat or replying to, bar the office ones?
Bar the office ones. In there
goes
straight away.
95% of the content gone. What's that?
It's going to be my wife. That one from the Adam Buxton podcast.
Yeah.
That's one of the obvious ones, isn't it? My wife. There's probably loads, man. I'm sure there's loads of stuff from The Simpsons that I just drop here and there.
There's probably so much you don't realise where it came from. He said, no, it's just what I've always said.
You know, I mean, for the past month, all I've been doing is if someone says, it's happened again, or he's done it again, or something like that, I quote that bloke from Arsenal Fan TV going, he's done it again, that fucking Harry Kane, he's done it again, the dirty bastard. I've been saying that constantly in my day-to-day life, which is a bit awkward when you've got kids running around, but they're used to it. They are used to it.
I know it only came up last week, but yeah, if I ever come across something that is made of paper, it's made of paper.
Yeah, that's made of paper. That's made of paper. Oh, and speaking of last week, when I mentioned that Charlie shouted, "Oh, good for you," at Harry once he got a shiny Kevin De Bruyne out of his packet, that is he's picked that up from me and Joe, who quote the Christian Bale meltdown clip. you are checking the light, you're walking around like this, like this. And then he goes, so what the fuck were you doing, man? And he said, I was just checking the lights. Oh, good for you. That's where that's come from. And we say that to each other all the time, and that's where he's picked it up from. So that's another one for you. That's another one. Matt, you're just a walking quote machine, aren't you?
I don't think I am. Well, it's just The Office.
I don't believe it.
Do not believe it. Oh, I bloody love it. No, I don't think I am. And there's you often hear about people saying, "Oh, do you remember a bit from The Simpsons?" I'm like, I don't remember what happened this morning. I certainly do not remember a quote from The Simpsons.
Do you know, I always find this, like, I feel like I've watched like a fair bit of The Simpsons in my time, but like, there's like all different Simpsons meme accounts and people will just quote it and stuff, and I'm just like, nah, sorry, no, it's all like gone in my head.
Oh man, we've been rewatching a lot of it. There's some really good gags in there. There's some really good stuff in there.
It's like when someone says it's like on The Simpsons, I'm like, I'll stop you there. I don't remember the bit.
You're about to waste your time.
I won't remember what you're about to say, so just stop it. Don't worry about it.
It's weird. Okay.
We've got here proper fucking magnetic egg-headed timer. Proper fucking magnetic egg-headed timer. That's on. Feedback for last week's show. James, I admire your tenacity of committing to completing games that you don't enjoy. I'm curious, do you also do some other forms of media, such as books and TV shows? I think it's all right you bin off Bloodstained if you're not really enjoying it.
Yeah, I do this with everything, basically. It's terrible.
Because I mean, James and I talk about Star Trek on and off quite a bit. And the amount of times James will be like, oh, look at what else they're doing with Discovery now. I fucking hate it. And I'm like, James, I stopped watching like at the start of series 2. And same with Picard as well. I was like, I wasn't really into it, so I stopped. And James just cracks on because he has to know.
Yeah, it's that. And it's also like with work and stuff, I read a lot of papers where it's like you read stuff and you're like, this is terrible, like at the beginning or whatever. But then eventually it gets better. And I'm always hoping that things are going to get better.
At the beginning.
Yeah, that things will start to like improve or whatever. But they often don't.
Well, that's the thing. James is just an optimist, as we all know.
Yeah.
So it makes sense.
I mean, I'm still watching The Walking Dead,
kind of like...
put it that way. I mean, how mad is that? I mean, that's just...
Oh my
James certainly thinks there's going to be an episode where they find a cure for the zombies still.
It's going to happen. I mean, it's nearly finished now, though, and then I can say...
the final one's out this year, isn't it?
Yeah, and then that's done, yeah. I can't stop myself, it's terrible.
Well, you watched The American Office after Michael Scott left.
Yeah, of course I did. I'm going to let it...
God, is that a thing?
Oh... Yeah, that was a thing.
It wasn't great.
Did I tell you I tried to watch the first episode of that?
It's not good. One. Yeah, the first series is
and I know everyone says
horrendous.
give it time, it becomes its own thing. But I had no idea that first episode is basically like a note for note recreation of.
Yeah, there's a few of those that's really bad. The IT crowd.
Oh God,
when they did the American version of that was really awful as well.
And it's so disappointing that Richard Ayoadu's in it.
It really is. It really is. But
I mean, maybe it's just an easy paycheck, and he knew it wasn't going anywhere. I don't know, but shocking.
Yeah, but probably a very large paycheck, wasn't it? But there you go. All right,
okay. We're going to end with Sally Salad Spinner.
Nice.
Dave probably loves a book from It Takes Two. It Takes Two so much. Could sound like he was describing himself.
100%.
And this last bit, which I think is most crucial and probably the best bit of feedback. Also, why is James...
Bit harsh. A little bit harsh.
Why is James...
Do you want to answer that, James?
I don't know. I question that myself quite frequently, honestly.
Also, why is James? If that's the feedback, if you want to leave us feedback, go to tcgs.co/dear-tcgs.
I'll tell you what, Sally Salad Spinner, you've just given us the title for today's show. So thanks for that. Why is James? Brilliant. Okay, cool. Let's get on to the news. James, why is James? Why is news, James? Why is James?
Yeah, there is news. So the PlayStation game, PlayStation Studios game, MLB The Show 21 is launching on Xbox Game Pass on day one, which is... very strange. I mean, PlayStation owners are going to have to pay £60 for it, whereas if you get it on Xbox, it's free, or rather included with with Game Pass. I mean, it's strange because Eurogamer have speculated that the reason for this could be is that if you look on the Microsoft Store listing for it, the game is listed as being published by MLB, and then San Diego Studios being the developer. So they're speculating whether this means that the deal was done with MLB rather than Sony itself, and that's how it's ended up on Game Pass or whatever.
That is pretty wild, though, isn't it? I mean, it was
pretty
wild
funny.
enough that the game was coming out on Xbox because it's got PlayStation on the Xbox box art.
Yeah,
right?
it says PlayStation Studios.
It's got the PlayStation logo on it. And this, you know, I can't remember if we spoke about it at the time on a show or if we did it just between us, but, you know, we'd heard that the reason why they're bringing it out on Xbox is literally because they're forced to. In order to get that license, they had to agree to releasing on all platforms. That's what I've heard and read. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, but it's the only thing that makes sense. But going straight to Game Pass, that's mad. How do you, like, when Sony ring up the publisher and say, right, cool, so yeah, we're launching this date, that's cool. Oh yeah, just to let you know, we've done a brilliant deal. We're going to be launching day one on a service called, let me see.
Yeah, I doubt you've heard of
Game
it.
Pass. You what? Game Pass.
Is that a big thing in gaming? We don't know. We're not gamers, but
yeah.
we thought it was like some rubbish things.
Sounds a lot like PlayStation Now.
And they'll be like, what's PlayStation Now?
Sounds a lot like PlayStation Now. It's not.
PlayStation when?
Yeah, that's a weird one, isn't it?
It is really strange. And I mean, you look at this and you think Sony have really got to do something about this, like in terms of like coming up with something which is like similar to Game Pass. But then also maybe you think they clearly don't care, do they? Like they really clearly don't care.
No, they don't have to come up with an alternative at all.
No, because they still seem to be doing fine, and we do seem to be in that state again with Sony. It feels to me where they're like super arrogant again. And don't care at all. I mean, we've had that whole thing this week where it was reconfirmed that like Vita games and PlayStation 3 games or whatever are all being taken down, and there's going to be loads of games that are going to be lost. You know, like in terms of like games that were exclusive to those platforms that you won't be able to...
2,000 games.
Yeah, or I think it was about 152 or something that is impossible to get anywhere else. Like it's more than 150. Like you can't get them anywhere else than on those platforms. So they're essentially just lost, you know, forever. And I mean, you saw the Jim Ryan quote where he was like, you know, I don't see why anyone... It was about Gran Turismo, and he was like, why would anyone play that? Like the first one. You know, why would anyone still want to play that? And it's like, you can understand that. Yeah, I can understand the perspective, but this is still awful. Like, in terms of, like, caring about, you know, consumers... Like, okay, I don't want to say caring about consumers, because obviously companies don't. But in terms of, like, sort of building some sort of ecosystem that people want to, like, you know, to buy things from... It's terrible to do stuff like this because you're thinking, why would I want to? You know, when you're just going to take it away.
It's tough though because the Vita specifically. All right, the PS3 we're talking something different, but the Vita specifically. I mean, that was definitely there's stuff that you can do on the Vita that you can't do on a normal console. So where do you go with games that utilise all of the Vita's capabilities?
There's not many like that did that. There was the stuff with the back touch, and I mean a lot of those games that were sort of more popular, like things like Tearaway, were just like reported to PS4. You know, so you could still do that. I think it's just a shame that they're being taken down so that they will never be able to be played again, really, by people, unless people pirate stuff.
What's the situation with Golden Abyss or whatever it's called, the Uncharted thing?
Well, I don't know if that'll be one that'll be lost, won't it? Because
is that one of the games that would just be lost forever?
Presumably, yeah. Because it was only came out on Vita. It didn't come out on anything else.
But yeah, that had... Well, I suppose you got the touch thing on the pad.
Yeah, there's a back touch
Maybe
stuff.
Maybe they could do... But who's going to buy it? Like, there's going to be work involved in transferring that across. And for how many downloads? Like,
but the thing is like, weird. If you look at, like, Microsoft seem to be willing to do that work. You know, to like transfer stuff over, and
they do.
It's true.
Yeah, but they're behind.
I know. Yeah, well, that's also the truth. Yeah, but it does. I do appreciate the fact that they seem to care. I mean, for commercial reasons, obviously, and because it's like this is some way they can sort of claw some space back. You know, to like care about like backwards compatibility and the fact that they're preserving stuff. You know, and it's still there. This is a shame. I think that they're removing all this stuff. It's a real shame.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
I suppose it is. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Also, Cyberpunk's CG Projekt Red have been talking about reorganising the company so that they can develop multiple AAA projects at the same time. So,
is this too easy?
Go on.
It's too. Why? Go on, what?
Okay, well, I mean, first of all, there was a patch that came out last week for Cyberpunk 2077. I don't know if you heard, but it did patch a bunch of stuff, but then also it did break new things as well. And particularly on PS4 and on Xbox One, it's made them worse, apparently. But then also, they've said that they're going to change how they operate. Do you want the quote? This is the quote.
Yes, please.
It says, we want to improve the way we make games. We want to continuously improve the working environment for every team member. We want a sharper focus on how we work together to make great games. So it's just like a nothing quote. But then also, he talks about promoting the games and how they want to do this closer to release. So he said, we have learned many things from our marketing and PR campaigns for Cyberpunk 2077 and see things that need to change in the future. Going forward, future marketing campaigns will be much shorter. We'll wait until much closer to the game's launch before we start showing things like trailers, demos, or going in depth about mechanics, etc. And yeah.
I mean, okay, number of things.
Go on, Sean.
Like, the problem with, one of the problems with Cyberpunk, in my eyes, is that it was too much. Like, it tries to be too many things for too many people, and that's why it seemingly became unmanageable for them as a studio. So how is the answer to that? Let's do more. Let's have more projects.
Well, that's not necessarily what they're saying, though, is it?
No,
I mean, what I'm saying is that this headline is low-hanging fruit. Like, there's so many quips that you can put to it, and feel free to do so. I'm not slagging off people that are, but I look at that and just go, how about focus on one game that works?
Well, there's more. But there's more to this.
I mean, obviously, and just quickly, like, obviously, development is more complicated than that. Like, obviously, over the lifetime of the periods over which you're developing a game, there'll be different teams have got sort of more and less to do at different times, and so of course, there is an argument for having multiple projects at different stages at any one time, because then you can move people around, keep everyone busy, and make sure everyone's got stuff to do. But yeah, it just, on the face of it, just seems like a weird reaction. Anyway, sorry, go on, James. What was the...
Yeah, because what they've also said they want to do is they're going to sort of focus on The Witcher and Cyberpunk with this sort of dual development plan for both of them, but they're going to use what they're calling cross-functional teams that will both work on both properties. That's the idea.
Okay.
And they're also going to increase the size of the company, and there's going to be more outsourcing. So it's like they are still just going to be focusing on quite a narrow slate, I think, of games, but hopefully with more effort, for each one, with more people.
Yeah. This is a headline for investors, isn't it? This isn't news or anything, because you think, why would you put this out there? But they're obviously putting it out there to try and get their stock back up, I guess, or get their standing back up.
Fair play that they are trying to be more transparent. I know they did go into some detail, didn't they, about how they are reorganizing and stuff. I mean, I don't know enough about project management or software development or game development to comment, but it seemed, at least it seems like an attempt to address like everything that's gone on. I mean, as Dave says, it might just be a case of like, oh God, please can we, stop upsetting our investors or whatever. But who knows? I mean, I think the thing about marketing was also interesting, because you could argue very cynically that the marketing for Cyberpunk fucking did its job perfectly.
Exactly. But that comment is basically throwing marketing under the bus. Like, marketing wasn't a problem. The marketing did what it did, and it got everyone hyped up to the point. It's just that the game didn't back it up.
Yeah. That's not marketing's fault.
Oh, they were expecting too much. This is the problem with the marketing. They were expecting the game to work.
Why do you tell everyone we're going to make a great game? I mean, this thing, it has to be shorter. I mean, what that really means is, we need to make sure the game is working and 100% before we show anything. And also, if it isn't, we can delay it, and we haven't had like a 3-year sort of, lead up to the release. But like saying, we've learned loads of things in marketing. Well, it's not marketing's fault.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Next story is that Xbox backwards compatible games have been added to xCloud streaming service. So this is like a bunch of Xbox and Xbox 360 games that are now available to stream via xCloud. And some of these they've even added touch controls to them, which is interesting. So if you're playing it on Android phones, so like Jetpack Refueled, Viva Pinata, and Viva Pinata Travel in Paradise have had these added. The quote.
Oh my God, I can play Viva Pinata on my fucking phone.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
You could.
Sorry, that's just sunk in. Sorry, Karen.
So they said, we've listened.
You won't.
We've listened to the feedback going all the way back to our earliest cloud gaming preview, and making games available from previous generations on mobile devices has been one of the most requested features by the community. We are still committed to making games across generations available to you, no matter the hardware. I mean, which is obviously a dig at what's been going on this week with Sony as well. So that's quite interesting. I mean,
okay.
you look at this list. I mean, I look at this list and I just think there's not really anything here that I'd want to play again or that I haven't played on this list. But I do think this is great. I think this is a really good thing that they're doing this stuff, and hopefully it will continue.
What's the situation with xCloud now? So how do you get it?
Through Android.
So it's available on Android phones, right?
Yeah, it's available on Android phones. It's coming to browsers as well, and also it should come to iPhone as well because they're going to do the
Okay, but what can you play on? So if you've got Game Pass Ultimate, there's a percentage of those games that you can play on xCloud.
There's a few of those games. I don't know how many off the top of my head. I mean, I can give you a list here of these ones that have been added, but there are. Or at the moment they've added Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo-Tooie, Double Dragon Neon, Fable 2, Fallout New Vegas, Gears of War 2, Gears of War 3, Gears of War Judgment, Jetpack Refueled, Cameo, Perfect Dark Zero. You can play it on your phone now, Dave. Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind, Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, Viva Pinata and Viva Pinata Trouble in Paradise. So they're the ones that have just been added, but there are others available. But off the top of my head, I don't know what the others are that are available. I mean, Sean, have you not tried this because you have Android phone and all that?
I mean, I've streamed from the console to my phone a few times. It's pretty good, but yeah, because I've got the console in my house, I've never really bothered with the proper xCloud
Yeah, that's
stuff.
it. I mean, it's the worst time to do. Oh, you can just play this anywhere. We're not allowed to go anywhere though. You know what I mean?
Isn't it like a beta program as well? You have to join. I don't think it's open. It's not. Is it open to everyone? I have no idea. Matt, do you know? Because I don't know.
I don't know. No, I haven't really been keeping tabs on it because it's not on iOS yet. So,
no, fair enough. No, it definitely was. There was like a separate app you had to download back in the day. It was like it's called like Xbox game streaming or something. That's now gone. I believe it's all been incorporated into the main Xbox app. But I'm having a look at it now and I can't fucking find the xCloud stuff. So who knows?
Okay. More stuff coming to xCloud.
Yeah.
I'd be interested to see how that takes off when they actually feel like they're properly launching it, because it does not feel like that at the moment.
Yeah. Okay, Oculus Quest 2 has already outsold every other Oculus headset combined. So yeah.
Wow.
Matt, you added this. Why did you add this? Matt, why you always talk about how great VR's doing? This is strange, isn't it? It's strange that Matt's added these new stories about VR.
There's a lot of new owners of Quest 2, and what better way to celebrate your headset is buying Zombieland VR Headshot Fever.
Come on, it's not there. Come on,
it's on the Oculus Quest store. It's just £15.
Didn't we start the show by talking about how we weren't doing advertising? Wasn't that what we were talking about at the start of the show?
Must have missed that, but I won't talk about Zombieland VR Headshot Fever on the Oculus Quest again.
When's it coming to PSVR, Matt? Can we have an update?
Later this year.
Later this year, okay, good. Anyway...
I can't confirm anything at this point, but when I do, I'll let you know.
Shut up, dickhead. Right.
Just quickly, I'm an idiot. It's the Game Pass app you have to load up, and that's got all your xCloud stuff on it. Please do not email in. It's on the Game Pass app.
Isn't it? So there's the Xbox app. There's Game Pass app. Game Pass has the streaming. It's like... I get they're probably trying to make it a bit more lightweight, but also it's like,
It almost feels like they should have a separate app for xCloud, doesn't it?
Yeah. I know
it's free apps, but
when they totally redid the Xbox app just around the console launches, they like redid it, but didn't bring in things like achievements and loads of other stuff, which they're now slowly bringing in.
It's like Sony did the same thing with the PlayStation 1, which generally I think it's a better app because they moved everything back in to just one app again. But then also other stuff they removed from the store, which is just really stupid, like wish lists are gone. Like you can't put anything down on a wish list anymore. Like, why would you do that? That's just, I don't know. That's
really silly because like devs find that stuff really useful.
Yeah.
Like if you're working on a game and you don't have much of a budget, like being able to just put stuff out on Twitter and say, please wishlist this, like they all say it's like a huge help.
And you can still do it, but you can only do it through the console, which is just strange.
Oh, amazing.
Like, why would you, because you're more likely to wishlist it if you're just looking at it on your phone, aren't you? It's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
Very odd.
Yep.
Anyway.
Yeah, so Oculus is doing very well.
Oculus then, yeah. I mean, we were talking. I mean, I suppose the most relevant thing with this to us on this show, because we are console focused is that PSVR 2 sounds like it might be coming out in the next couple of years, and that'll be its biggest competitor, won't it?
It probably will be. And
I just can't see how it's going to compete.
I still wish that they'd taken the same path as well and just done the same thing, like a standalone headset. I think that could have been brilliant.
PlayStation VR, yeah, standalone.
Yeah,
okay.
but they want it to be much more premium experiences, you know.
I don't think people are into that.
They want.
I mean, this proves that people aren't into that. Like, this is what people want. They want, cheap and easily accessible. And the PSVR.
But I wouldn't say £300 is cheap.
Well, it's cheap compared with whatever the PSVR 2 is probably going to cost. If you factor in that you need to buy a PS5 as well, if you can get one.
Well, hopefully in 2 years' time you will.
Okay. I mean, they're great. They're great little headsets, and there's still games coming out for them. It's got a bit quiet recently, but I can't think of one game that's come out in the Oculus recently that I'd like to play. But
just came out a couple of weeks ago, actually. Zombie and it should be there. What is interesting about it is, this, it feels like this only came out, recently. It came out in October. So, and also with, you would assume with COVID and whatnot, there'd be stocks were probably hard to get hold of, but already in just a few short months, it's already outsold the Quest 1, which is hugely popular. I mean, Facebook haven't given us any numbers here, but it's pretty impressive that they've managed to get so many out and already sold more than all the others combined.
Especially with all the shit they did with linking to Facebook as well. I assume that turned a lot of people off, right?
Did it though? Or was it just one of those that because of
Apparently
us
not.
and the people we know, it maybe sounded like a bigger deal than it was?
I think that's probably it.
And I'm not saying it wasn't justified or that I'm not writing people off as like being whiny nerds or anything. I just, grand scheme of things. Maybe that wasn't such a big deal.
It's also the whole sort of everyone hates Facebook. Sorry. Everyone says it's terrible, but then everyone's still using WhatsApp and Instagram. It's just how it is, isn't it?
Wait, so the did they give figures and how many they sold of that headset so far?
Not in this article, no.
We're talking in units.
No.
Brilliant, excellent. Okay, well done, Oculus.
Yeah. Okay, last story that we've got is that Mario 3D All Stars. The sales for that have gone massive. The sales that was a weird way to put it. I don't know why I said it that way, but but they've been up 276% week on week. Probably because it's now gone. You can't. I mean, by Wednesday you won't be able to get this anymore. I think because it's been removed from the eShop, taken off the shelves. Super Mario 35 is also being killed at the same time. That's going to be gone. I mean, I don't think anyone's going to care.
It's already been killed. It got killed on the 31st of March, didn't it?
I thought it was this coming Wednesday though. It was being shut down. But yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Who cares? I mean, that wasn't a very good game. This 3D All Stars thing, I can only assume it's going to be split up on the eShop, and you can buy which game you want.
Yeah, definitely.
It's the only thing that makes sense to me. They'll give it a couple of months grace, and then they'll say you can buy them individually on the fucking thing.
I reckon they'll do it in time for Christmas. It'd be like you can buy these now or something like that.
I was thinking definitely Christmas.
Yeah. Possibly, but they haven't got much coming out between now and Christmas. So, I mean, maybe it'll be something to piece it over, a little bit. Bizarre. Now, what's the big Nintendo game coming out this year?
What's the Nintendo game coming out this year?
Technically, isn't Zelda still on the slate for this year?
That's not coming out this year.
Technically.
Do you believe it? We've not even fucking seen the thing.
Is there like a Pokemon thing or something coming out? There probably is, isn't there?
There's a few Pokemon things, to be
Snap
fair.
2?
Yeah, Pokemon Snap. But that's soon, isn't it? I think that's May that's coming out, I think.
Well, that's it. That's the game.
I don't know.
Yep, there you go.
Yeah,
Merry
that's
Christmas.
Not Nintendo, is it? That's
Game Freak.
That's a Pokemon company.
Yeah, Game Freak or whatever.
I don't know. It's weird, man. I don't know what's going on with Nintendo at the moment. It's fucking bizarre. There's going to be... Yeah, but the problem is, I said, it's like England in the Euros. Every time it rolls around, it finishes, the tournament finishes, and you're like, I'm never getting that excited about England playing in a major tournament ever again. 4 years go past, and you're like... We're going to fucking do it. We've got a great team. We're going to do it. Go out in the group stages. I'm never going to get excited again. And it's the same with Nintendo Directs. we've not heard anything in ages. And then they'll announce a Nintendo Direct and we go, oh, here we go, boys. And then it's, fucking, they're going to show Link and Zelda running through a forest, and then they're going to, I don't know, go meet up with that guy, the Maracas guy, to upgrade, you use to upgrade it. And he'll go,
Amigo.
I've been invited to Smash. You go, for fuck's sake. That's it. Haven't they got Skyward Sword coming out?
I just had a look. They got Pokemon Snap coming. They got Miitopia. That's coming. So that's
okay.
Really exciting.
It's a banger. It's Triple A.
And that re-release of Zelda.
But the thing is,
wicked.
They have proved the last couple of years, even with barely any releases, they're killing it in sales. So it's not even there's an incentive for them to say, look, we better start putting games out because sales are dropping. They're like, we're doing nothing and sales are increasing.
Yeah, but I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit how many people buy that system anymore. It's like, it's doing really well. Oh, great. I want to play a new cool game, please. Have you heard
of the rumours of the...
Exactly.
Oh yeah, that's true. Rumours of, obviously there being a Switch 2.0. Do you think that whatever they've got, lined up software-wise, they're keeping quiet on until that's revealed?
Possibly.
I mean, that's the nice thing to believe, because
it is.
Because what's happening is going to be a new Switch, and there'll be all those games I haven't given us. Yeah. But also, if I was Nintendo,
I'm ready for a new Switch.
Why put out a new Switch now?
Well, yeah,
I'm ready for it because I'm ready for it.
I know we're ready, but they don't need to. The moment sales start dropping, bang, here's a new one. It's doing better than ever. Why put out another one and potentially confuse things? They don't need to.
Well, because I'm assuming that they've got to produce these things years in advance, Matt. It's not like they can't just hit a red button to release a console and manufacture it and get it into shops.
Yeah, it's not like uploading a podcast.
There will definitely... you say that, there will definitely be instances, and I suspect this is one of them, where they basically, the next one is just like ready to go, but there's just, as Matt says, there's just no point releasing it just yet. Not saying there's warehouses full of them, but like the design is basically locked in. They're just like, right, well, for next year.
Yeah, but going from design to producing the thing, plus getting it out there and getting the games prepared for it and stuff to utilise the new. No, I don't think it's as simple as going. It's gone down 5% this week. Right, okay, press the button. And then all of a sudden we get emails. So there's a Nintendo Direct in 5 minutes.
The supply chain in terms of manufacturing them is a fucking nightmare, I imagine.
Especially now. Yeah. Especially now everyone's in that fucking canal in Egypt just going, well, look at the amount of boats trying to get through that at the moment. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, well, so you're saying actually that Nintendo, what they've done is they want to do those things where they can say it's out tomorrow, it's out today, and there's 7 million Switch Pro 2s out in the Suez Canal, and it's going to take a bit of a while to get through to us. Is that what you're saying?
Maybe imagine they just turned around and said that. They're just like, well, we were going to release a new Switch this year. It's just that they're all on a boat in Egypt still.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Sorry.
We are releasing in the following regions. Egypt.
Suez Canal.
That's it. Go on.
That's it. That's the end of the news for today.
Cool. We're a bit of a dull news week. Not your fault, James. Not your fault. It's just something needs to happen now, doesn't it? Something needs to happen. What have you been playing now? You may be worried. It's only 57 minutes worth of recording in front of me. 58, just ticked over. And we're already on what you've been playing. But the amount of games I've got in front of me is quite something. So it's going to be a bump of what you've been playing this week. And we'll start with Matt, because he has been making up for lost time.
Oh, yeah, baby. I've been playing games. James and I have been playing It Takes Two, but we'll save that to the end, maybe, James.
Mm-hmm. Really? Should we just start with that?
Okay.
Should we just start with that?
We
spoke about it last week, so let's just let's hear what you thought.
James and I streamed it on Friday, and we had an absolute blast, didn't we, James?
I did. It really surprised me. This did. I thought I was going to like it. Wasn't expecting to like it this much. I think it's fantastic.
Little bit offended by that, James, because you said that a lot on the stream.
Yeah.
And you were like, this is so surprising. I'm really blown away by this. And I was like, everything you're saying, I told you last week.
I know, but, I don't know.
No, go on. Just explain. It's fine. I can take it. I'm a big boy.
No, you generally do have, like, good ideas about things, but there is always, like, a sprinkle of hyperbole there. Like, when you're talking about this stuff. So I'm like, Just wanted to
Really?
So occasionally you get lucky, but with your small brain, Dave.
I see, because the one that got me is that James definitely went into this thinking, I'm going to hate the book. I know David said he liked the book. I'm going to hate it. What do you think of the book, James?
The book is the best thing in the game. It's fantastic. It's so funny. I don't know why. I've watched a couple of reviews of this, and everyone's been really sniffy about it. And I don't understand that because it's clearly just ripping the piss out of the whole thing, which makes it very funny to me. Yeah. I just love the way he was touching himself and doing the whole thing. It's brilliant.
Thrusting and all that. But that's the thing, isn't it? It's a dickhead book that turns up being a dickhead, for no reason. And that's why I think it's the best thing ever. You know what I mean? It's just there's a bit in it where they're just standing talking to each other, and they're like, "Oh, I'm scared," or "Do we really want to do this?" and all this sort of thing. And then the book comes out of nowhere, going, "Bark, bark, bark,
he's
bark, bark, you couple of chickens."
And he's just it's great.
It's fantastic stuff. Sorry, Matt. Yeah. So how did you find it? So how far into it? What surprised you?
Because of how far, so we played over 2 hours. We got to a bit where you're basically floating with these purple clouds of dust or whatever. We're in this underground bit under the garden or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I've obviously heard good things about it. I knew it was something to do with two characters and the divorce, but I haven't really seen or looked into too much of it. But I was constantly impressed with how it looked. I thought, okay, this would kind of be like a. I wasn't expecting too much from it graphically, but I think it looked absolutely gorgeous in places. I really love the style, and it feels like there's real heft to the environments you're in. They're all nice and detailed, and the sense of scale works really well with all the the things you're doing and seeing, whether you're interacting with giant nails or bits under a house or ornaments or whatever. It all just looks and feels really nice. I absolutely love that. And I was just pleasantly surprised. Every few minutes there's a new idea or something new and exciting to do. I mean, James and I, as I said, were streaming it, but we didn't really interact with the chat that much because we're just generally so engrossed with the game or what's happening next and what we're doing now. And now we're going to need to do this. So you go here, I'll do this, and I'll shoot this, and you jump here. I think the kind of 2-player co-op platforming worked really well, where one of you needed to stay behind to fire something to help to keep a platform level or allow someone else to exit or go into another area. The other person was doing the platforming, or there's different roles that you kind of just say, okay, I'll be the one holding the hose and you'll be the one going into the hose. And I really loved how it kind of asked you to be cooperative and to kind of find your own roles in these environments.
And it's strange because I haven't played a platform game that's as good in co-op as this. I don't remember the last time, actually. And the reason I was so blown away by this and so surprised is that if you look at A Way Out, there's no indication there that they could do something that was this good. That there was really, really this good. As in...
Well, I don't know. I don't fully agree with that. I think in terms of the base gameplay in A Way Out, it had some really good ideas and pulled off some really fun co-op stuff, right? But it got the dressing wrong. It got everything else about it wrong. So, the idea of going through cooperatively, when you're climbing the wall back to back, is funny. How you keep mucking up and then both of you fall down and stuff. But that stuff is what dragged us through that game. All those bits and pieces is what made it work. It's just everything else about it was just awful. The bugginess, the look of it, the story was shocking.
That's what I mean. But this is just
all that.
This
stuff.
is just like a quantum leap over it, though.
It's mad.
This is almost I would say this is Nintendo level quality. Honestly, from what I've played so far, it's
a lot of people are dropping Nintendo at this, and I think that's fair. I think it's fair. And I think the first and foremost, the movement of the characters is absolutely spot on.
Yeah,
and the double jump, the dash.
And that's one of the things that surprised me as well. I wasn't expecting a game that would have platforming that's this good either. Like, that feels so good, like, to control the characters. Because it's really difficult to get that right. Like, it really seems like, I've played a lot of platformers the last couple of years, and ones that get it exactly right like this are very, very rare. And it's...
Well, and it's strange as well, because the camera is usually set so far back from the playable character that you'd think it'd be really hard to judge distances and jumps and stuff like that, but it's just not. It just feels so natural to play.
And the platforming is good, but then like the combat is also good. And again, having not seen too much, I wasn't really expecting exciting and interesting and well put together combat moments, but there was. I mean, there's like a few bosses we've done,
isn't it?
Yeah, but okay, there's some bits where like, okay, this is actually really good. There's a bit of tactics you need for this boss. You do this while I shoot this, and one bit, I had one weapon which I fired as like goo, which exploded. But so I would fire the goo at an enemy. James would use his weapon like a sniper rifle thing to ignite the goo. And so it's really cool little tactical things there. And again, wasn't expecting it. Took me by surprise, and really impressed that the combat also felt really nice and satisfying and well put together.
The only thing that I feel a bit cautious about with this is that for us, I think this is fantastic. Like, I think, like me and Matt, we're playing this. You've got some experience like playing platformers and stuff like that. It's not very difficult. It's not like really hard. But I think playing this, if I played this with Asher or with Rachel, I think they'd struggle in some parts, and I think it could become a bit frustrating.
It hasn't got that. So other co-op games, like for example, so let's talk Unraveled 2. Like, I played that with Harry, and there were definitely sections in that were way too hard for him, but it accounts for that. So in Unraveled 2, there's a bit where the character that obviously can't do that platforming bit can jump on your back, and then you do it, and then they get off, and you've done the hard bit for them, essentially. There's none of that in this. There's no let-up, is there?
No.
It is very much
and
like...
The bit that made me think of this was, that boss battle with the power tools, where it's all just like... I just thought, there's no way that like Rachel will be able to do this like easily. It'd be... I think it would get quite frustrating, like to play it.
But then maybe she'll surprise you.
Maybe. It's possible,
maybe just give it a go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, right, I'm, probably 2 to 3 hours further into the game than you are, and it doesn't let up. Like, it is constantly blowing my mind. The places it goes, the stuff it asks you to do, visually it is fucking crazy. There's a bit that I'd love to tell you about, but I can't because it would completely spoil it. But, you go into something and it's so crazy visually that you just think the amount of time and work that has gone into this, and they've absolutely nailed it. The one thing that I'm still not used to is the tone of the thing. Like, tonally, it's just all over the place. 1 minute it feels like a Disney film. The next, the death of the Hoover, for example, is just horrific, like, what? I mean, it's totally played for, because you were doing, when I watched your stream, you did exactly what John and I were doing, where we were like, okay, we've got to grab this. Well, no, it's not going to get us to do that. It is going to get us to do this. What the fuck? Oh, and it shows it in horrific detail as well. It's like, but then at the same time, it's a talking Hoover. So, like, what? Why am I getting, like, freaked out by this? It's just, I mean, bizarre. And there are a lot more moments like that, that you just think that the tone is just all over the place. But I guess I'm kind of into it. Like, I'm not hating the story. I'm starting to warm to the two lead characters a little bit more now. They do have the Uncharted issue of talking too much. They're constantly talking.
It's true, but then fortunately the cutscenes are not very long. Like, they're quite snappy, most of them. Which
some
helps.
of them are a bit lengthy. It's like what I said last week. There's a few of them where it's like you could have made this cutscene about a third of the length, but you wanted to try and add character into, and the problem is the character the character building is just them going, whoa, what's above it? It's all that sort of that witty banter chat. You know what I mean? It's hard to explain, but when you see some films or TV shows or video games where the lines are not written as separate lines, where they overlap constantly. That's in this a lot, and it's kind of a bit tiring. But I don't know. It's like an uncanny valley for conversation. Sometimes, you know what I mean?
It's a major thing in games in general, isn't it? You can see it a lot in, like, to a lesser extent, like in animation and stuff as well. People never interrupt each other or talk over each other, whereas in real life they do all the time. Like, obviously in games, it's like probably like a scripting thing, right? Like, obviously the game engine is designed to just play, like, you know, voice sample after voice sample in like a set order, and to then start messing with that and being like, oh, well, actually these can overlap or whatever is just a pain in the arse.
But the problem is, when that happens in natural conversation, you can register it as natural overlapping of conversation. Whereas when it happens in media, like film or TV or video games, it feels like, oh, this is the bit where they were told to talk over each other. You know what I mean? It's like you because you're so used to that presentation style, that the way that lines are delivered. When someone bucks the trend to try and make it sound more realistic, it ends up sounding more fake. You know what I mean? It's weird, and that definitely suffers from this. But that's really nitpicky, because this game is seriously, you know, if you've not played this game, then you need to just get hold of it. Get hold of a friend and say, look, we're just going to sit through this and we're going to give it a really good go, because you'll have a whale of a time. It's really, really good fun.
No, I am planning on doing it. Chris has said he's well up for it, so
you absolutely have to do it.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah.
You've got to do it, Sean. It's as you say, it's a remarkable step up from their last game. And I hope it does really well, because it deserves to.
How much more have you played? How far do you reckon you are?
About 2 to 3 hours ahead of you, I think.
Okay.
Like 2 areas, but the areas are quite lengthy, aren't they? But yeah, I mean, we're still only about a third of the way through the game, because it is it's substantial, that video game.
That's the only thing I kind of think. I mean, if it's a great game, then it shouldn't be such an issue. But that's the only thing I'm like, okay, if this is an 18-hour game, how are we going to be feeling about this in 9 weeks' time if we're playing every week?
It's a curious decision for a game that you have to play in co-op. Like, not everyone's got that much time to play it with like one specific other person.
It's essentially a series of moments where you're going, okay, you do this and I'll do this. That worked. Let's move on. You do this and I'll do this. Yeah. How long does that still feel good before it becomes, okay, I'll do this and you do that? You know what I mean? Like it's the co-op film, the co-op side of it feels like the hook, and how long can that hook still feel fresh? I don't know. At the moment, it absolutely is, and it's nailing that. But there's a long way to go, and I just hope it can keep it up.
But I absolutely love that. And so we're streaming that again on Friday.
Yeah, so I've just had a look on how long to beat, and they reckon it's like 11 hours, like, to get through it.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't think it's like super, super long. 11 hours isn't bad.
Okay.
Cool. I also played some Sackboy Big Adventure this week after you talked about it last week. And I had some
I finished that this week.
Oh, did you? Okay. Awesome.
Yeah. Well, I got to James, you know about the whole it keeps going after you finish it.
It does, yes, yeah. It does a Mario 3D World.
I got the one thing that I didn't like about that game is going back to previous worlds and collecting those dream orbs.
Yeah, because some of them are quite irritating.
I don't know why, because I didn't mind it in the say 3D world, Mario 3D World. I didn't mind going back and collecting the stars. But on this, I was like, 25 orbs short. And I was like, oh, fuck this. And when I got through to the world after beating it, and it was like every one of those asks you to collect more dream orbs from previous worlds, I was like, no, I'm done. I'm happy. I saw the credits. I really enjoyed my time with it. I don't need to do these extra. And when I played the first one of those levels, and it was like, oh no, this is just really hard platforming without all the charm of the other levels.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, I could see why people would want to play this if they were really, wanted a challenge or anything. But for me, I'm done. I'm going to draw a line under it and say it was a really good game.
So that's exactly where I got up to it with it as well. Like when I sent it to you, because I was like, I enjoyed what I'd played of it, but unlike 3D World, I didn't think it was strong enough to want me to to push through all of that other stuff either. To keep going. Really, I just thought, I'm happy with just seeing the credits on this one.
How far into it are you, Matt?
I'm not. I think I'm midway through the second world, so I think you said World 3 is when it gets good. I've done the Bruno Mars level and stuff, and
that's great.
So, I mean, I think the big thing I love about this one now is the music. I think all the music's great, and it's like the music links in with the gameplay really, really well, and it made in a way that I haven't noticed a lot of other games I've played recently. It's really nice. Yeah, it's never not satisfying, the music and how it links in with the gameplay.
Yeah, for sure. And it's got some really good ideas,
well.
but trust me, the quality goes skyrockets from World 3 onwards. World 3 to the final boss fight is great. So yeah, keep with it, definitely.
I think I've asked this before. Should I consider playing this on my shitty old PlayStation 4 Pro?
Yeah, I would.
Probably.
Yeah.
If you fancy a bit of platforming, I don't see why not.
Cool.
It's available for there, and it's not. When I'm playing it, I mean, the load times could be a pain in the arse.
Yeah.
Going back to after playing like the Series X.
I was going to say,
Series S
I mean, that's the thing with the PS4 in general now. So, yeah.
And I mean, you're going to get a PlayStation 5 eventually, so why not hold off until you got one of those? And,
true.
And then you've got another game to enjoy on the PS5, haven't you?
Yeah, it's a looker as well. I absolutely love how it looks. Yeah. It's a good game.
Yeah, for sure.
Playing that. And the other two games I've been playing are Apple Arcade games.
It's been a funny old week, hasn't it?
Did you really sign up for it then, Matt?
So I did like a month's free trial, even though I'd had one before.
Okay. Oh, are they offering another month's free trial?
Yeah. So I got the free trial at the beginning, whenever that was, and for however long that was, and then didn't bother after that. And actually, when I got my new iPhone, they give you 3 months free, but I just never.
What?
Yeah, you should get that.
I didn't registered in time.
You should get that
I've just got. What did you get an email?
No, it's in the settings.
In your settings, there's like ads, and it says like with your phone you get a year's Apple TV Plus, you get 3 months Apple Arcade, you get a month of Apple Fitness Plus, and
you get
all
a
sorts
year
of stuff.
Apple TV Plus, yeah. And I went on it, and it was like shit. It's like there's nothing here, and everything that I saw on Apple TV that I thought, I'll watch that. It said right, £14. It's like what? Why? It's like a Prime, Sean, where it meshes in the store with the free stuff. You know what I mean? So you kind of like what?
That's the that's the app. That's like, okay, so there's two things here. There's Apple TV Plus, which is the service, which has got all like the shows on it, and then you've just got the Apple TV app, which then links into other stuff like Amazon Prime and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, but there's not just an Apple TV Plus app with just the free stuff on it, is it?
Well, yeah, you just press...
it's both in the same place.
Yeah, but then you just go to the tab that says TV Plus, and then it's got all the stuff on there.
Yeah, no, but then when you go to the TV Plus one and you see what's on there, you're like, oh, for fuck's sake.
Ted Lasso, Dave. Ted Lasso was very good.
Ted Lasso is brilliant. That one show was excellent.
Mythic Quest is pretty good. Defending Jacob was good. I enjoyed that. There's a couple of good
Mythic
stuff
Quest
on there.
all right?
Yeah, it is. It's definitely all right.
I didn't hear much about it. Okay, cool.
All right, you're an Apple fan. We get it.
I like good TV.
Okay. Sorry.
So I heard there's a massive update with I think like 30 games they just like dropped.
Well, it's weird, isn't it? Because half of them are just like premium versions of old games. So like there's like Monument Valley Plus and stuff. Which
I think they're bringing back classics as well.
Yeah,
like, I think Cut the Rope is on there.
Yeah,
bringing back stuff that wasn't there before. So if they bring Rolando back, I'm all in for that. Love Rolando back in the day. Yeah. Anyway, but two of these games I was really interested in, and it's probably and they've also released like not that I'm into it, but like NBA 2K21 is on there.
Yeah,
which is that only came out recently.
I think it's called like Arcade Edition or something, right? Which,
is it? Okay.
Which I mean, having tried to play one of the proper ones, I think Arcade Edition is probably about my level anyway. So that's probably ideal.
So, but the two games I'm really interested in are one's called Fantasian, which is a JRPG from the guy who made Final Fantasy. That looked interesting. The other one I'll talk about first is Claphams Golf. Now, Claphams, I'm sure you recognise that name. They're the developer of Everybody's Golf on the PlayStation. The Everybody's Golf games have been amazing from pretty much from day one on like PS2, PS3, Vita, all sorts up, PS4, and now there's Claphams Golf, which is exactly the same game, but no license, I guess. No Everybody's Golf license, so they can release it on other consoles. And it's if you like Everybody's Golf in any way, shape, or form, you will absolutely love Claphams Golf. It's the same game. It feels the same. It looks great. The one major difference I've seen so far is that you kind of build up a roster of golfers. It's not just you playing various holes and tournaments and stuff. You build up basically a party of various golfers, and they'll have different like skills. One might be better at hitting balls from the rough. One might be better in bunker shots. One might hit further, etc. So you collect these as you play the game, as you beat bosses on various holes and various tournaments, and then when you start a new tournament or new hole or new series of holes, you basically can select up to 3. So you look at, okay, this one is like a par 5, there's loads of bunkers, I'll choose a bunker person. So I think it's basically asking you to try and choose a different selection of people depending on the holes you're about to take part in. But it's absolutely excellent, of course, because it's Everybody's Golf. And this might actually make me want to keep my Apple Arcade subscription a little bit longer than usual. And or it really makes me wish I could just buy the game outright. But I think it's just Apple Arcade exclusive at the moment.
How are the controls, though? Does it control okay with the touchscreen?
So I haven't really played with a touchscreen. I've been using that Razer Kishi, which has come into its own this week. I mean, I pretty much just bought that because I wanted to see what xCloud and remote play on the consoles were like. But I've been using it with both these games, and it's absolutely brilliant. Obviously, it feels like a Switch. So I've got Claphams on my phone. Using this Razer Kishi, so I've got like full controls, and it's absolutely brilliant. I'm sure it'll work fine using touchscreen, but I haven't really done that.
I suppose, the golf game, it's only on screen buttons would be all right for a golf game. I think
the only thing it wouldn't just be a standard button press. Obviously, is when you swing, and so the swing in this one, it's the same as most of the other ones on the console, but you don't select like a power until you start moving the stick back, or I guess your thumb down the screen, and depending on how far down the screen and or how far you pull the stick back, that determines the power, and then you quickly flick it up to shoot forward. You can also kind of flick at an angle to put like spin and stuff on it, and there's a chance for your ball to go further if you do that, but also a greater chance of your ball going miles out of bounds.
Was everybody? I thought Everybody's Golf was just the usual, press once to start, press again to set power, press again for accuracy. But it's not, is it? There's a whole.
With the one on PS4, they changed it actually, and whereby on that, depending on where, there was a point where if you swung forward, you got like a special shot or better shot.
Okay, cool.
But this, you basically pull back or press down on the screen and then flick it forward. There are loads of other game modes. I've just been doing like the single player campaign where you there's a bunch of holes in there. They gradually unlock across a massive map. But I believe there's also online tournaments, and you can like dress up your character and buy outfits, I presume. Actually, maybe you can't buy outfits given it's Apple Arcade. I don't know, but there's outfits in the game and tournaments. But yeah, it's absolutely excellent because it's exactly the same game we've known and loved on PlayStation consoles as Everybody's Golf for years. So I'm so happy it's on Apple Arcade. I'm loving it, absolutely loving it.
And I suppose it's not necessarily, it's like it. It's a game that's going from console to like an iPad or iPhone or whatever. It's not going to suffer much from being put on a smaller screen, is it?
If anything, it looks brilliant on the screen and handles really well. Immediately, with the key shifting I've got, but. It's just been great. I mean, it loads really quickly. I guess it's on the phone. And are any of you tempted? Because we all love Everybody's Golf, right?
Oh yeah, well I've got it installed on the iPad, just not tried it out yet.
How about you, Dave? You loved Everybody's Golf.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, loved it. I should give it a go. Although I find it so hard to get motivated about playing a game on my phone now. It's weird. I mean, we've spoken about it so many times that it's pointless going over it again, but it's just sat in my brain that just kind of thinks, I don't play games on my phone anymore.
We had that massive rush in 2008 when the App Store happened and games were happening. And
then when Apple Arcade launched, I played a fair few games on that and really enjoyed it, but I've just got no desire to play a golf game.
I find like... Go on, sorry, James.
I was going to say, how much of that do you think it is that it's like... For me, you see, whenever I play these games, I mean, not when I play stuff on Apple Arcade, because I know you shouldn't think like this, but I'm still just always thinking, what's the catch here? Like, how is it? How is this being monetized? It's like,
as you say, you've not got that with Apple Arcade, so surely that
exactly
thought process
the thought process shouldn't be there.
Is the answer
exactly? It shouldn't be there, but because it's on a mobile phone, it's still kind of in the back of my mind for some reason, which I know is ridiculous.
Not that for me. Yeah, it's not that for me.
You see,
Definitely
for me,
it's kind of ingrained. I mean, I know it isn't. I know I'm not going to get charged, but I'm also like, it still feels refreshing that they're not going to suddenly say, hey, you can't. There's a timer now.
Yeah. Like, I mean, for me, in terms of playing, so Apple Arcade, I play on my iPad. But in terms of phone games, it's the constant distraction of other things potentially going on the phone. It's like, I might sit down and think, right, I'm going to play a game on my phone. Actually, before I do that, I'll just check Twitter, and then, actually, someone sent me something on WhatsApp, or then even when I'm playing the game, I'm constantly like, actually, I wonder if I've had is anything going on in my WhatsApp groups or whatever. And that's not the game's fault, but it's because I'm used to the phone being like a constant distraction machine. Do you know what I mean? Whereas if I just get the Switch out, I know the Switch or whatever is like totally divorced, and I can just be like, right, nothing else is happening. Yeah. I know.
I would agree with that, but I'm still playing my poker game on there all the time.
Yeah.
And that is very much, once you've got that open, you can't be checking other stuff because you'll miss your turn or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's not that for me. I just don't know. So in my head's just going, I'm not going to sit and play a golf game on my phone. But maybe I need to get over that. Maybe I need to check myself, Matt.
Before you wreck yourself.
Don't say
Yeah.
I mean, the difference is this is an absolutely quality game. And as I was playing it today, I was thinking, well, I was looking forward to that Mario Golf game on Switch. But
don't need it.
This is excellent.
Yeah.
It's on Apple Arcade, but I guess after the 3 month, I'll have to be paying. Was it £8 a month? I don't know. What is Apple Arcade?
£5 a month, I think. Still
£5. Okay.
Yeah. Is it not that I'm saying I want it? Has it got online multiplayer?
I've just checked in the menu, and it doesn't seem to. No.
Okay.
It's got local multiplayer.
Oh.
So if you've got multiple devices in the same house, you can do that. But it doesn't seem like. I mean, maybe it unlocks after a while, or maybe I'm just missing it, but it's not a menu. It's not an option on the menu.
We should.
It's the sort of like I feel like I want it, but then also the chances of us actually playing together seem slim. Like especially because it would, like if you'd just be playing on phones or tablets or whatever. That's just not going to happen.
It's weird, we've all got Everybody's Golf, haven't we? Like for PlayStation, it'd be. Why have we never played that?
PS4,
like, why have we never like?
There's a reason. We have. It's not very good online to play in that way.
Oh, okay.
It's very, very focused on leveling up, making you better.
Yeah.
So I think when we first played it, Matt and I was hammering him because I'd played it for longer before he started playing it.
Yeah.
And then he played it, like he hammered it for a week, and then we played again, and he was smashing me.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like,
okay.
Well, I was smashing you before when I had lower stats, but
nope.
You don't think it was? I think it was.
You were.
I think it was.
Because it was based on that. It just felt like, well, why am I going to play this if I'm just going to lose because I haven't played it for long enough? That sucked.
It felt silly. The other game I'm playing is Fantasian, which is the new game from. I'm going to get
Mickey Mouse mopping a bucket. Is it?
Hey.
What?
Walking around. Yeah.
Is it Mr.
Did we talk about that on the main show? How fucking weird that is. I watched that.
Yeah. I might have been on the bonus show.
Bizarre thing.
Yep.
Yeah, weird film that is.
Yep.
It's just bizarre. We all watched it at school several times. They wheeled the telly out and we all went, yay! And they went, we're watching Fantasia. And we all went, oh.
Because you forget how long that intro is, and it's just a guy talking to you
God.
In front of an orchestra.
I mean, that's the most David Cage thing I've ever seen coming out. We had this concept of music and animation. It's like, all right, just fucking it play, you prick. Arrogant. Shocking. Go on.
Yeah, so it's a new game from Mr. Walker, and that was formed by Sakaguchi.
Yeah.
I don't know his first name, but he's the original creator of Final Fantasy, and this is very much an old school Oh, and Blue Dragon, and a bunch of other stuff as well. But we'll move on from that because I can't recall the titles. That's why I'm moving on. But yeah, this is very much like an old school Final Fantasy game or Final Fantasy style game, old school JRPG. And I fancy playing it. I mean, I haven't really. I've tried a couple of times to play Final Fantasy VII Afterlove and Remake. The original, the Final Fantasy VII remaster, whatever it is, on Game Pass. And I just stopped because I could never truly get into it. But I've always kind of wanted to play something like that because even though it's a totally different type of game, I loved Remake. And this is out, and so I've put about 3 hours into it so far. Now it's not like a 100-hour game like I was kind of expecting, something like a 20-hour game. But I'm really enjoying the loop of finding out what the story is. Now it's a classic story of hero. I think his name's Leo. Has amnesia. So
classic.
You need to work out what the story is. You're meeting a bunch of characters. It feels very Final Fantasy, as it would do, given it's from the same guy. But it just feels even like the names of some of the things are like, this isn't this what's in Final Fantasy, but you've changed a couple of letters, and like the female character you meet feels very Aerith in many ways. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I think the two things that it does interesting or new for me, as someone who hasn't played loads of JRPGs, so maybe these aren't new, is so it has loads of like random battles as these kinds of games typically do. But I've just unlocked this thing. I don't know how to pronounce that. I think it's like Dimension.
Yeah,
it kind of made me like Dimension, a cross between Dimension and Dungeon. Okay. And basically what we can do is when you turn that on, and you just press the button to turn it on or off, is when you would normally have come across a random battle, instead of you just going into one of those random battles and doing what you need to do, it like sends the enemies or monsters that you would ordinarily battled to the Dimension. And so if you just want to run from one location to the other, you can do that without being interrupted. But the enemies go into this thing up to 30 enemies, and once you get to 30 enemies, it automatically starts this battle where you basically fight all of them at once. But by doing that, I believe you get bonuses or get some other bonus from killing them there, rather than just killing them in piecemeal as you go through from one location to the other.
I saw the video for this where how they explained how this worked, and it looks great. Actually, it looks like it's a smart idea, I think, for getting rid of, everyone. Who likes random battles? I know someone's going to say they like them, but come on, they're rubbish.
Yeah,
everyone knows they're rubbish.
Yeah, they've like every good JRPG in the last 10 years has had like an interesting twist.
Yeah.
On random battles like Bravely Default and stuff. They just seem like, to me, they just seem like a fundamentally bad idea.
Well, it's just there, isn't it, to ease the grind. Like, that's why it's there. It's there because they're saying, look, we know that the pacing of this is probably not very good, and we know that you're going to have to grind a lot of monsters so that you can finish this game. And so here's how we're doing that. That's why I've always disliked them, because it always feels like it's something there to like artificially lengthen like the game in many cases. This seems really sensible because, as Matt said, in the video I saw, it drags them all into like this battlefield, but then also there's strategy in how you deal with all of these enemies that are on the screen at the same time, and how you can how does that work, Matt? Like, can you do combos and things like that or whatever on them?
Well, yeah, so you can't do combos, but the other interesting thing I like as well as that Dimension thing, and I would love to know how you actually pronounce that. I think it's trying to be Dimension, but whatever. Is basically you can attack with like a standard attack where you just you can move like which of the enemies you're going to attack in a straight line, but there's also another attack where it can go in a straight line, but it can go through enemies. And also, I've just got another character to the party where she can do magic attacks, and she can actually change the trajectory of her attacks. And a bit like a golf game where you can you see the trajectory of where attack's going to go, and you can curve it up and down. So for that, you can basically move it so you hit all three or all four enemies or loads of enemies at a time, basically. Okay. Which I thought was another cool bit of strategy you can add to these battles. It's not just, okay, there's three enemies, I'll shoot at one, I get hit by that one, I shoot at one, get hit by that one. Like here, I'm like, okay, well, Maybe you can also analyze enemies to see what they're weak or strong against. You can also steal stuff off them if they've got something on them that's cool. So typically, I'll analyze the enemies first, see what they're weak against, steal something off them. With the magic character, I use her ability to fire an arc, so you can see hit all of them. And in the Dimension battles, that comes in super handy, where you can basically arc and hit loads at a time. You can also use these other attacks, as I said, where it goes through enemies in a straight line. So up to 30 seems like a lot, but you can do some really satisfying sort of battle combat strategies with these just these two moves I've got so far. No doubt there's going to be others. I find as my party gets larger. But just them 2 bits alone, I thought really interesting. And again, I don't know loads of JRPGs, so maybe I'm sure there's other games that have done these things better. But for me, as someone who hasn't played a lot but wanted to see and play more, the fact that I can just send all these enemies away, so I'm not getting interrupted if I want to get from one location to the other, and when I do have a battle, it's not just fire in a straight line. I like the the ability to direct where I'm going to go and try and hit loads of enemies at once. I thought that was really cool.
I don't think that has been done. That does sound really interesting. I mean, James probably know better than me in terms of JRPGs, like ones where it actually matters, like like positioning and spacing and like the areas covered by spells and stuff. I mean, I'm thinking like Grandia 2 did that. I guess Chrono Trigger to an extent. But beyond that, I can't think of many examples. So this does sound really interesting.
Yeah, it's just satisfying to line up multiple things at once and get out of them. And the other thing is, it looks lovely on the phone, but what they've done, actually, I think the Mistwalker actually created real-life dioramas of the locations.
Yes. It looks stunning, honestly. It looks brilliant.
Yeah, it looks stunning. And I haven't played, what's that game? Octopath Travel. I haven't played it, but I've seen how that game looks, and that's also very pixelated, but they do things that look a little bit like tilt-shift photography.
Yeah, like really shallow depth of field.
Yeah,
and stuff,
using shallow depth and focus and stuff. It looks like a tiny miniature, and this kind of does that as well. And I went to like a forest area today, and I was thinking, like, is that? I couldn't work out if it's a picture or a render, but yeah, I haven't looked up more. Yeah, they built all these really incredibly detailed dioramas, these really gorgeous things. And I think there's some making of video on IGN or the game or something. I've seen a video somewhere, and yeah, they basically rendered out these dioramas into the background. So the backgrounds look lovely, and yeah, I'm really enjoying it so far. And the fact to say 20 hours, I'm there's a much higher chance of me actually going around and actually finishing this rather than, as much as I'm enjoying it. If I read saying, oh no, it's got 80 hours, that's a bit like
you need to grind for like 100 hours, Matt. Before you can even think about doing the final boss. It's
like the average JRPG. It's not only are they long, but as you say, there's often like an enforced grind involved. It's not just that it's like, oh well, there's 80 hours of brilliant story. It's like, no, there's like 40 hours of just fucking running around doing random battles. But yeah, as you say, the fact that it's shorter is a bonus. It's nice to be able to experience one of these games without it being like a fucking commitment.
I'll tell you, it's sorry, Matt, go on.
No,
I was going to say this is definitely a JRPG because I'm just reading one of the ratings and reviews from the Apple Store. 1 star, very disappointing. This game looks decent from the screenshots, so I loaded it up and started a new game. You're met with an endless intro sequence with titles and pointless videos that you can't skip. Waited for a while, but ended up deleting the game as the intro seemed to take forever. It's definitely a JRPG.
Yeah, 100%. Oh no, this sounds wicked though. Like I get, it's another one I've had it downloaded and I was sort of looking forward to playing it, but I didn't know much about it other than the cool art style and stuff. So no, I'm really excited now.
Yeah, and I do want to play like Final Fantasy VII, but because the remakes are going to take many years to all come out, and maybe if I get through this, I'll give FF7 another chance, maybe on Game Pass.
Just put it on.
Huh?
Just give it a go.
Well, I have given it a couple of goes. I've stopped. I'm also what's good, like playing this on my phone. It's just there and.
Yeah, I mean, if you want
is
a more...
Is there not Final Fantasy VII for the phone?
There is, yeah.
Well, has that not happened?
Yeah. No, that's not for ages
Ever
yet.
Crisis next year, which I'm really excited about. That's basically Final Fantasy VII on the phone, but it's kind of got a mixture, I believe, in the combat styles to remake and also the old one.
Yeah,
it looks good. It's got all the DLC, and so I'm really excited for Ever Crisis next year. maybe that would I want to play. Who knows? But
yeah. I mean, if you want a good modern JRPG, like if you just fancy getting stuck into one, Bravely Default 2 on the Switch is probably the one to go for. I mean, I was going to buy it and then I didn't, and then Monster Hunter came out, so it's going to be a long time before I get around to it. But that's full of I think it's quite a big game, but it's full of quality of life things. Like you can just skip battles and stuff if you've fucking had enough. You can change the difficulty on the fly. It's it doesn't give a shit. It just wants you to experience it. I was looking, I saw this and I thought, new game from Final Fantasy VII, but dude, it's on Apple Arcade. I'll definitely give it a go. And I was looking for reviews, and there really aren't any reviews. I saw one video on YouTube. It wasn't a review, but it's basically here's why I like it, because it's so old school. This game doesn't have, you can't fast forward, you can't do double speed, you can't skip battles, which I assume are all kind of quality of life things that they have put in recent JRPGs. But which is not it's not an elegant solution. Like a lot of the Final Fantasy, HD remasters and stuff. They're we've added a fast forward button. It's are you not just admitting that your game is quite boring?
Yeah, that's
and the fact that the towns are quite detailed. You can meet and talk to people, and they have little quests in them. It's not just you go through and because when I played Shining Force 3 on the Saturn, the thing I love most, I mean, the combat was fun and all, but I also loved going to each of the towns and talking to the people and learning about the residents and stuff. And this has some more of that. Anyway,
I just thought, Octopath Travel is on Game Pass as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's probably worth a look. That's meant to be very good.
Well, if I get through this, absolutely. Also, one last thing. So people on the Reddit were saying, I finished this in 20 hours, and apparently there's a Japanese tweet or something said this is actually only the first part of it.
Okay.
And there'll be more coming later. So I wonder, one, how long it's going to be, and two, whether this will come out on consoles as well. It seems mad that it would just be on Apple Arcade, but who knows? Who knows?
Interesting.
And that's it for me.
Matt, just quickly, if you're back on Apple Arcade, definitely check out South of the Circle. I think you'll really like it.
Yeah. No, I'm going to try and download as much as I can just to really get my month's worth. But,
good point.
There's a lot of good stuff on there. South of the Circle, cool, buddy.
Yeah,
and that's it for me.
I want to talk now. I want to talk about Knockout City, which ran an open beta over the weekend. And for those of you that don't know, Knockout City is the dodgeball game that they announced on they announced it on the Nintendo Direct, right? Yeah. The partners one,
and on the Xbox one, wasn't it?
And then they showed it. They showed it again on the Xbox one, didn't they?
Yeah.
And it's you've never really taken to it, have you, James?
I watched that.
James hated it from the second he saw it.
When I saw this was on your list, I actually couldn't remember what it was, and then I looked it up. I was like, oh, it's this again.
Oh, go on then. Go on. What do you expect it to be? Because I think you might be a bit surprised.
I don't know. I think just from watching the trailer I wasn't that impressed by, because it felt very like it was trying to be cool, in a Radical Heights kind of way. And it's, I don't know, I just didn't like the visual style very much, was my main issue with it, I think. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, I was chatting about it on Rollmut today, and I said the visual style is strange. It's really colourful and, looks very different to a lot of, competitive multiplayer games, which this is, and I'll go into what this game actually is in a bit, but it still somehow manages to look a bit generic. It's not really got it doesn't really stand out. Somehow it doesn't stand out, even though it's bright, colourful, and I know what you're saying with the sort of attitude, the dressing around it. It's got this theme of pirate radio reporting on what's going on and all this sort of stuff, and I don't think it really nails that. So what it is, it's a 3 versus 3 multiplayer. I mean, there are different game modes, but it's a multiplayer dodgeball game where you got to hit the opponents with a ball, and that's it distilled to its most basic. But it's I'm absolutely gutted that the beta stopped, and I can't wait for the game to launch now. because I've been loving it, like absolutely loving it. I can't. Trying to explain what you actually do in this game is quite tricky, so try and stay with me, right? So on a basic team knockout, game of knockout, right, you got 3 either side. There are multiple balls scattered around the map, so they're quite tight maps, but they're actually a little bit more interesting than they first seem. Like the maps have like some sort of hook to them, each one. So there's one set on the top of like 4 skyscrapers, but you can jump between the skyscrapers because there's wind blowing like from underneath. That I'll get to that later. There's one with like traffic driving around really outside, so there's a lot of the balls are sitting within that traffic, so you got to play a bit of Frogger to get to the ball and then to pick it up. There's one with pipes everywhere, so you could just jump in the pipe and then you zoom to another part of the map or whatever, and as you're moving around it shows you where everyone is on the map, so you can have a quick look at where the enemy are and then go and attack them. And it's very simple to play, but it feels way more deep. The more you play it, the more deep it feels. So you pick up the ball automatically if you walk over one. You hold down the right trigger to build up power in throwing the ball, and then you release it to throw the ball. On the left trigger, you press that at the right time to catch a ball that is being thrown at you. And what it does, if there's one achievement to be taken away from this game, in first-person shooters, if you're getting hit from somewhere, there's a red indicator on the edge of the screen, right?
Yeah.
But it never feels like you fully know where you're being hit from.
Yeah.
You just turn to that side and hope something's obvious.
Yeah. So here, it has a red border when someone's aiming at you. So the moment you're starting to build up your shot, your sort of your crosshair locks onto an enemy that's within your field of vision. If someone's locked onto you, the whole frame around the outside goes red, and then this white sort of bubble appears around the edge, and it just seems really clear where the person is, and it's really important that it's got that, because the moment someone's locked at you, you need to be facing them to be prepared to catch the ball, right? So that's kind of it. You're catching the ball and throwing the ball back at the enemy. And it's not like dodgeball. It's weird that they're calling it dodgeball, because it's not dodgeball. You're not like either side and trying to avoid it, and you know where everyone else is. It's like a multiplayer map, like a normal first-person shooter multiplayer map. But then the more you play, the more you realise that you can use different approaches. So there's a spin button, which is the B button. If you throw the ball just after pressing B, it does a more curved shot. So then you realise that actually, if someone's throwing the ball at you, it's going to muck with your timing if it's not being thrown directly at you. If it's being spun around like in a big arc or whatever, that means that you have to consider what type of throw is being thrown at you. There's a fake throw to make the person think that you're actually throwing, but you're not, so you have to catch it. So you have to make sure that you don't hit the catch button, because there's a cooldown period on trying to catch things. There are several different like power up balls. So there's one that's a cage, and you can chuck that at someone and it puts them in like this big cage ball, and you can either pick that up and just chuck it off the map, or you could pick it up and chuck it at the enemy, and it's a one-shot kill ball, because usually you've got like 2 hits and you're out. Or you can just throw balls at the person in the cage, and then that takes their health down. There's a dash button, which means that if you find an enemy that's holding a ball, you can dash at them and the ball flies up in the air and you can nick it off them. Stuff like that. What I'm saying, I don't need to go through every mechanic, but what I'm saying is that at first, what seems like a very simple game of timing and making sure you catch when you need to and you throw when you need to, and there's a little bit of outsmarting the other person, it then becomes way more complicated and deep. And when you come up against a team that know what they're doing, it's pretty devastating, At first, you're kind of like, I might get a few hits and I might get hit a few times. That's great. I'm not really following what's going on, but I seem to be playing the game. And then all of a sudden, you come up to someone who, like, you look at them and they're aiming at you, and then all of a sudden you see them just like throw the ball, and the ball goes over your head, but you've hit the catch button, so you're ready to catch. the ball goes over your head, you look around, and there's their teammate behind me, like, catching the ball and throwing it like at your back. You've got no chance of catching it. And you're thinking, fuck, that's they actually coordinated that, and it works really well. And then there was a clip that I sent you, Sean, where one of my teammates, I was running along with a teammate, one of my teammates had the ball in his hands, and an enemy like dashed into him. The ball flew into the air just as he was about to catch it. I dashed into them, grabbed the ball, threw it at them. They caught it. They threw it back. I caught it. And I thought, well, I'm not just going to keep throwing at him because he's expecting it and he's going to catch it easy. So I suddenly looked to the right-hand side and there was another enemy there and they didn't have time to react before I threw the ball at the back of their head. And it was just... I suppose the way to describe it is imagine a first-person shooter game where you could catch the bullets. Like, where the bullets don't just automatically injure you. You can catch them and you can chuck them back at the person that shot at you. And it's not about aiming. That's another important thing as well. It's not about precision aiming. You're not like aiming for a headshot. If they're in your field of vision and you're going to throw the ball, it locks onto them. So it takes that level of skill out of it and replaces it with trying to outwit the person that you're throwing the ball at. It's really interesting, man. It feels really different.
Reactions and assessing whether they're going to throw it or do some other bits.
Reading a space
trying to outsmart
rather than
the other person. Yeah. It's trying to outsmart the other person. It's a simple game of, which hand is this coin in? You got to pick and trying to work out what they've done this time. But like in snapshots, and there's so much going on at one time that I don't know. I found it extremely addictive, but. I think more importantly than anything else, and having said all this, I am without a shadow of doubt blown away by how enjoyable this is to play. I just don't think it's got an audience.
Why?
Like, I can't imagine this. Well, firstly, it's paid. It's not a free-to-play game. Mm-hmm. Secondly, trying to convince people to get into a dodgeball game is... maybe a step too far. I don't know. I mean, you've got stuff like Splatoon, but that took a while to build up, and it's Nintendo, so that puts that style of game in some sort of context. This is I don't know the developer, but this is published by EA, and I've seen no buzz for it at all.
See, I'm just wondering it's a shame. Okay, what I mean by this is it's a shame that it's by EA, because if it wasn't, could this have ended up on Game Pass? And would that have maybe given it a much better chance of...
Well, it could still end up on Game Pass. That's the thing,
I don't know. Has EA released anything on Game Pass?
Yes, they've released their full catalogue on Game Pass.
I mean new games day and date. Like, they haven't released any new games that way, though.
Well, no, but then you do get the free trial and stuff, which I think is going to be available anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's just a shame. Like, they released Rocket Arena last year, right? And I played that, and I thought, this isn't good. This is not good, in my opinion. It's not a good game, and I'm not enjoying playing it. Whereas they release, and it went away, right? No one talks about Rocket Arena that they released last year. Whereas they'll release this, and I think there'll be a similar reaction to it. Yeah, it's really good to play. I mean, they've nailed the movement. Actually controlling the game and the feel of the game feels fantastic. The dressing, not so much. It's not that great. And the other thing you said on our streams, James, and this isn't a dig because I fully thought it was as well. This is not a hero-based game.
Okay.
You are not picking a hero. Your character is fully customizable. You can change the clothes, the hair, the face, everything. And I think there are different special moves. So another thing you can do is you can turn yourself into a ball. And if you're like, you can roll up into a ball, roll towards a teammate, jump straight into their hand, and if they fully power you up, that activates your special move, which the example given in the tutorial was like a mortar. So you get chucked up really high in the air, you see the full map, and you've got to try and aim for the enemy and drop like a big bomb and take them out. It's, man, surprisingly good. And when it comes out, I will definitely be playing the trial. but I just don't know if it's worth buying because...
Yeah, I just looked into this, actually. So, yeah, basically, there's a free trial to all players on all platforms, and it's 20 quid to continue playing after the trial is over.
20 quid's all right. At least it's not a...
it doesn't say, it just says free trial to all players. The game launches May 21st. It's a free trial to all players on all platforms, granting access to the full game. It's, $20, you would assume 20 quid, to continue playing after the trial is over, and progression from the trial, but not the beta, will carry it over for those who purchase the game. It's also a cross-progression game.
I might just buy it.
In addition to cross-play. So I
might just buy it. Because, I mean, I've not been this bummed out about not being able to play a beta before. You know, it's been a long time since I've been gutted that a beta's ended. And this one, I woke up this morning and launched it, and it was like, no, the beta's over. I was like, oh, fuck, man. That sucks. And I don't know. I mean, as I said, I sent you those clips, Sean, and I was like, I think you might really enjoy this because it isn't about trying to get the headshot. It's not about, quick snipe scopes or anything like that. It's literally just trying to outwit the other team, trying to trick them into thinking you're throwing the ball when you're not, and then throwing the ball at the right time to catch them out. It's, I don't know how long the enjoyment will last. There are different game modes and stuff. There's like a kill confirm thing and all that sort of stuff. That's all in there. There's a one-on-one game mode. There's private matches and all that sort of stuff. So it does seem like there might be more here, but I'm really, really surprised by how good it is to play.
It's a shame, isn't it, that you can't, like games like this, you can't just look at them as they are. There's always that question of like, but are you going to support it? What's next? And that's just the nature of this sort of thing and how it's going to compete with similar stuff. But no, it sounds really cool. I'm really intrigued.
I do worry that EA are going to, because this feels so similar to Rocket Arena in the way that they announced it and what it looks like and all that sort of stuff. How long are they going to keep trying this stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think they're getting somewhere.
I think they'll keep trying until they have a massive hit on their hands.
Yeah, I just don't think this is going to be the massive hit. I think trying to convince people to play a dodgeball game is
do you think it's because it looks like a sports game? It's not like, like say something like Splatoon was so obviously removed from traditional shooters that it sort of worked, whereas this is still people running around throwing balls at each other. Do you know what I mean?
I think that's the step. Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Yeah. And as I say, you look at Splatoon, that's no different. But it's Nintendo, and that's not fair, but that's the way it is.
But when Nintendo did Splatoon, it was also relative like that. The visual style and all that kind of thing. It wasn't completely new, but it hadn't been done for a little bit. You know what I mean? And it's like it felt
the aesthetic really fed into it, didn't it? Whereas this feels, as you say,
whereas this looks generic.
Yeah, it's not like this isn't really replicating a real sport, but it seems much more grounded in reality compared to something like Splatoon. And I wonder if, people who are already into sports games will just be like, well, it kind of looks like a sports game that's not real sport. I like sports games, so... Do you know what I mean?
This isn't Madden.
Yeah. But as you say, it sounds like it really effectively creates the drama of like any good sports game or any good sport.
God. And it's a lot of mayhem and all that sort of stuff. All I'll say is this... definitely give it a go when the trial comes out. Because give it a few games, get to the point at least where it unlocks a lot of stuff, and see what you think. Because I've had such a good time with it this weekend, that I don't know, man. I really want it to do well, but I don't think it will. I genuinely don't, which is gutting. I hate that shit. But yeah, that's Knockout City. Definitely give that a go, and that's all I've got to talk about this week. I've been playing other stuff, but you don't want to hear about that. So let's go to James Farley.
Yeah, I mean, I've actually not got that much this week. I mean, I went back to Curse of the Moon 2, despite saying I probably wouldn't. I did. I mean, I went back and I finished it because, I mean, I still hated it.
Fuck's sake.
You hate yourself.
Basically, yeah. And I got really...
Was it worth it?
No, because I got really bad hand cramp from it as well. Like, really bad hand cramp. You know, like, where it's so bad that, like, your shoulders are hurting as well. You know, because...
I've never had that.
And it was horrible. I mean, it was Thursday night.
Yes, you have, Sean. Do you remember when Bayonetta come out? A week after that?
Before Friday's stream, James said...
That's the one he can't deal with.
Before Friday's stream, James was like, I think I've got RSI.
Yeah, because that's what it felt like.
Because of that game.
It was incredibly painful. And, it's better now. But it was... I don't know why I bothered. I mean, I do know why I bothered, because I can't stop myself. But, I finished it, and I still hated it by the end. But, I mean, I said in the group, it's like, I finished it, I just felt like out of spite. I didn't want to feel that it had beaten me, which is ridiculous. I know it makes no sense.
It's not out of spite. Like, it doesn't spite them at all. The developers will look at it and go, "Oh, there's someone else who's finished our brilliant game."
Yeah, I mean,
that has no problems in it.
I left a very cutting review on those Nintendo surveys. Yeah, they send out.
No.
Yeah, so they'll know how I feel. They'll know how I feel about it. It's yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
So I played that, and It Takes Two, obviously, we've already talked about. The only other thing I've played is Yakuza Like a Dragon, because I've gone back to that now. And it's funny because I initially really struggled to get into this, mostly because, and I'm still not sold on the turn-based combat, because for me, the reason for this is it feels a lot less immediate to me than the general, than the usual like beat 'em up style to it, and I don't like that so much. And it also highlights, I think, one of the other problems with combat in Yakuza games, and that's like the repetition of character models. Like, like when you're fighting, you often see people that are like, it's the same person basically, like, like many like over and over again, that kind of thing. Yeah. When you're fighting, like in the earlier games in the series, because the fights are so quick and you're mostly just getting in there and just like beating someone's head in, you don't really notice so much. It's not so much of a problem. But when you're playing a turn-based game where there is like a pause and a delay, you're spending quite a lot of time actually looking at who you're fighting. And you're like, hang on, they're twins. And there's like actually, then there's triplets, and it's just like, it's ridiculous. It's like, you keep thinking, hang on, I just beat you guys up like a few seconds ago, and now you're back, and it's a bit off-putting.
Are you suddenly taking Yakuza seriously? Is this
no,
it?
because it's just more noticeable. Like, it's just much more noticeable because of the fact that there is this sort of like gap and like sort of slowdown because of the fact that you're selecting things from a menu rather than just battering somebody in the same way. I mean, one of the things which is good about it is it does mean that you can do like partner moves and stuff, which are like like summons and stuff, really, like in JRPGs, which, as you'd imagine, are pretty funny and pretty good. Like they're sort of very enjoyable. But I still don't like it. I still don't like the turn-based combat. It just doesn't feel right to me. Like, it just really doesn't.
It's a wild direction to take, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I hope that, I don't know, maybe by the end of it I'll like it, but I don't think I will. It's one of those things where it's like, I'm playing it because I've really started to get into the story. It's really nice to be in a place that isn't Kamurocho for a change. Like, this is like, I've got to the stage in the story where you end up somewhere else, and it feels so good. Like, I love Kamurocho. I've spent hundreds of hours in there now, but it's nice to be somewhere which is completely different, that looks brilliant as well. It's great. Although there's another aspect to this story that I'm not sure about either, that feels a bit off. And because at the stage that I'm at, I mean, I'm quite early in, so I'm spoiling maybe like a tiny bit here. You end up in like a homeless camp, like with like a load of other people there, and it makes some good points. Like, it talks about everybody, there's reasons why people aren't going to get jobs because maybe their families are looking for them and they they don't want to be found because of various reasons and everything. But then you team up with one of these guys and who like saves your life, and the moveset that they've got feels a bit wrong. Like the fact that one of the special moves is this character uses his bad breath to like attack somebody and stuff like there's stuff like that which feels really not right.
Yeah, aren't they called like the something bum?
Yeah,
as well?
They do that all the time.
Like
they've all got names like that, which just feels, I don't know, it doesn't sit right with other parts of the story which are not like that at all. Like how it's suddenly got all this, like things like that, and it's, like, I don't know, it doesn't feel right at all. It really doesn't feel right that. But aside from that, though, it's starting to become a lot more interesting because the main character you're playing as is quite different to like Kiryu and to the to other protagonists there's been so far, in that he's a lot more fun, like in general, like his sort of attitude to life, and he's not like super serious, and I think it works. I think it works like very well, and I'm really enjoying just exploring this city. But I'm not that far in, so I need to play some more. But I'm just still disappointed about this turn-based combat. But maybe it gets better. I don't know. But in general,
have you said the story about getting your PS5 back?
I don't remember whether I did. But yeah, I got it back.
I don't think you have.
You got it back with a note saying
yeah, I got it, exactly. It's gone for 2 weeks, and it comes back, and they're like, "Yeah, there's nothing wrong with this." And so I'm like, "Great."
That's fucking terrible.
So,
is it? And it's still really loud.
Well, it's the same as it was before. But see, I don't know if it's really loud. That's what's really annoying. Like, I'm looking forward to eventually, when we're allowed, going somewhere where somebody else has got one, so I can see if mine is louder than they generally are. I still think it is. It's down. I should just take the side off and have a look. But I think it's down to the fact that I've got that fan that is like a louder fan, which is. There's like several different versions of the fan that Sony have used, and I think I've just been unlucky and got.
Have you not removed the flap at least?
No, I haven't got around to that yet. I mean, I should, but just.
Can you tell by just removing?
Yeah, you can.
The flap?
Because you can look at the type of fan it is, because it's easily accessible. It's easy to find.
Okay.
How have you not done that?
Because it's just a ball ache, and removing it all and all that kind of thing. I just can't be bothered.
More of a ball ache than sending it off for 2 weeks.
Well, the thing is, I was originally going to do this. Then Dave was like, "No, just send it off. It's under warranty. Just send it off. You'll get a new one."
No. That's not what you were originally going to do.
Originally, I was going
to take the fan out and add rubber bands.
No,
to
not
it.
rubber
That's
bands. I was going to add washers to it because that's what people said online. Like, was to do that.
Rubber washers. Adding rubber washers to the fan, Sean.
It's worked for a lot of people. A lot of people have done that.
Why not? Because they do your warranty.
Or alternatively, send it off to Sony and they'll do nothing about it. So,
I was going to say, it sounds like the warranty isn't worth having anyway. So.
I mean, yeah, but if anything else goes wrong, you're mad. You guys are mad. All right, okay.
Yeah, so that's it.
yeah. We know we're mad.
Guilty.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so that's it. That's all I played this week. Yeah, not so much.
Sean Bell.
Hello. I played more Monster Hunter, obviously. Still really enjoying it. I'm now sort of well into I was saying like a lot of the earlier monsters are quite sort of, I mean, they're fine, they're very good fun, but in terms of their abilities and stuff, they're all pretty vanilla, whereas I'm now at sort of, level 4 and 5 monsters, which have all got sort of very specific, there's like poison ones and sleep ones and ones that do fire damage or ice damage or whatever. And that's when you start getting into the interesting stuff of like making sure your equipment and your build is right for any given fight. And I've been like doing a bit of multiplayer and stuff as well, and it's been great. Although obviously the lack of voice chat is still a piss take. And I've got like I think probably the most convenient solution, because I've got a SteelSeries headset that has like the sort of proprietary wired connection and then also just like a 3.5mm jack. So I can plug the proprietary one goes to the phone and then the jack one goes to the Switch, and then we just use Discord or WhatsApp voice calls or whatever, and it all goes into the same headset. Brilliant. But it's still, like, fuck's sake, I've got to have a wire trailing across the room to the Switch in the dock.
Yeah, but this is what I don't get, is that if you play Fortnite on the Switch, you could plug that headset into the Switch and just use, like, it does it.
Yeah, it's bizarre. But yeah, I mean, other than that, nothing else really to report there. I've been playing a bit of Outriders because it's out now. However,
it is.
Not as much as I would have liked because the servers have been fucked all weekend.
That's a shame.
Yeah, real shame, because like there's loads of people are really enjoying it and really getting behind it, but it's just been a nightmare getting on.
Yeah,
I suppose it doesn't help that it's been added to Game Pass, right?
Well, this is it, and this is what's been really interesting, is that like you look at any of the tweets from the official Outriders account, and all the replies are PS5 owners saying, "Get fucking cut off the Game Pass, people. Get rid of them."
Yeah, of course they are.
And which is, on the one hand, it's funny, but also I can see the point. Like, if you've paid 60, 70 quid for a game and you can't play it because a load of freeloaders are jamming up the servers, like. But yeah, so I mean, again, not much to add about that other than it's just been really cool seeing everyone like really getting into it now. Now the full game's out. Things like the crafting. I know, James, you're a fan.
Big fan. Big time.
Like people are getting well into the crafting stuff. There's like a lot you can do with it, and it's interesting. The whole sort of is it or isn't it a game as a service? They've said not, but there's been things like, well, they're basically adding like post-game, essentially raid content and stuff. But then you look at like the crafting system, and like people are just basically putting together like really overpowered builds and stuff just by using the crafting stuff properly. And you sort of think, well, yeah, like Destiny wouldn't allow that. Like like a game like Destiny has to sort of really worry about the ongoing meta and stuff, and anything that's a bit too good has to get dealt with. Whereas Outriders is not going to be concerned with that, which is it's fun. So yeah, I'm going to crack on with that. I've started playing Narita Boy, which has just come out on Game Pass. I think
I've seen a lot of people talk about this as well.
You what? Sorry,
I've seen a lot of people talk about this as well.
Man, it's really good. So I'd seen the trailers and it looked very cool. Sort of 80s throwback, sort of hack and slash platformer, but like really, really gorgeous art style. But I was a bit like, do I need another 80s revival thing? Oh, it's got a synthwave soundtrack and pixel art, etc., etc. But it's good enough to just completely blow past that. Like if you think you're exhausted of this kind of thing, I would still recommend checking it out. It's like the story, it sort of initially is like you're a kid and you play computer games all the time, and then one night your computer's being weird and you get zapped into it, and now you live in the computer and there's stuff going wrong in computer world and you've got to fix it. And it's like, okay, so Tron. Great. But it sells it in a way that's, I don't know. It's like it's really confusing at first. Like it's just there's just all this exposition. There's like loads of dialogue, and no one really gives a shit if you understand what they're talking about or not. Everyone's just sort of yammering on at you about what's going on and why the computer's fucked and why it's a problem and how you're going to have, like, you're the chosen warrior or whatever who's going to fix it all. And you're just like, I haven't got a fucking clue what anyone's talking about. And you're going through all these areas and they all have these weird grand names. And they're like, oh, go and see the priest at the fucking Prism Castle or whatever. And you're just like, well, I haven't got a fucking clue what's going on. There's no map. It feels like it should have a map. And there isn't one, right? There's like a bit of exploration. I wouldn't really call it like, it's not like a Metroidvania or anything, but you are free to go back and forth, and there's sort of slightly branching paths and stuff. And I've seen a lot of people complaining about not knowing where to go and being a bit confused. I certainly went through that, but then, like, if you just play it a bit, you'll find that there's actually very few paths to go down, and none of them take very long. Carrying.
People had the same criticism about that, didn't they?
That's true, yeah.
But that didn't need one once you'd really learned what it's about.
Exactly,
But then the way that fucking game ended, it was so convoluted. You didn't know where you were supposed to go once it broke from the game loop of what you were supposed to be doing in that overworld.
Yeah, Carrion's a good comparison because it's that thing of, you're sort of going, well, it's not telling me exactly where to go, but also there's not a map. So what's the deal? Is this a completely open thing, or should I be following a set path? But in both cases, the solution is like, mate, just crack on, and it'll probably be fine. And you start out, 2D platformer, running and jumping around. You eventually get this, a sword, and then you start getting into the combat. Like, the combat is fine. It's not the best, like sort of 2D melee combat game I've ever played, but it's very good fun. Like, it mixes it up with different enemy types a lot. And it's really enjoyable. But what's really surprised me is that the narrative actually gets really interesting in ways that I don't want to discuss because it will spoil it. But is
there any like progression in the combat system at all, or does it remain?
Loads. Like, so you're getting new moves quite regularly. Again, it's the sort of new moves that would sort of classify it as a bit Metroidvania-ish, except it's not like you're going back to old areas and going, oh, now I can, double jump or fly or, whatever. Like, you're constantly getting new abilities and new sort of different enemy types and stuff to use them on. So it's definitely like interesting enough, but it's not, you're not sort of getting new abilities and thinking, oh, cool, that makes like the exploration particularly different or anything. But but yeah, the like, I'm only a couple of hours in, but the story has already become really interesting. Basically, what it shows in the intro, so this isn't a spoiler, is that essentially this system you've been sort of sucked into and that you're trying to fix from the inside was created by, I believe, your dad, who it sort of looks like you're sort of estranged from him. Like, I think your parents are separated. And yeah, and it just gets really interesting, and I'm really fascinated to see where it goes. The other thing is just how, like, not only does it look amazing, but it's just constantly full of characters that you sort of, when you see like how lavishly drawn and animated they are, you sort of think, oh, this must be like a main character. But it'll be like, no, they can be in like a scene that lasts about 5 seconds, and then you move on to do something else. Like the sheer amount of work that's gone into the visual design is just unbelievable. Like, so much work like gone into so many things that are just sort of picked up and dropped constantly. It's absolutely fascinating. And yeah, and I say, and this overall sort of commitment to not really worrying about holding your hand, or like it's designed to be a bit confusing, right? And not everyone's going to like that, and that's fine. Like I was tweeting about enjoying it, and like I got quite a lot of replies saying like, no, I tried it, I didn't know what to do, so I binned it. Fine. Like I would recommend giving it another go. But I can see a lot of people not liking it. But it's as I say, the way it just sort of throws you in doesn't really give you much direction, and everyone's just sort of chatting at you about, like, like about the lore and all the, and what's going on in this, fantasy computer land. I think it is designed to feel like a bit of a fever dream. Like, it is supposed to be like a bit sort of discombobulating, and like you're just like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I've no like. And I quite enjoyed that. So yeah, I'm really keen to play more of it. I'm really pleasantly surprised. I just went in expecting a cool hack and slash platformer with some decent pixel art. But I'm really impressed with it.
Cool.
I played, so for the final All Creatures Great and Sean stream, I played the prologue of Backbone.
See, this looks great.
Which was, oh man, it's very good. So this isn't out yet, but there's a prologue on Steam that you can play, which I think is quite old now, and like footage they've shown of the game since actually looks like quite a bit better. But this is coming to Game Pass as well, among other things. But yeah, I really enjoyed the prologue. Like, I was really impressed with it. It's essentially a point and click detective game, but it's, I played it with a controller. It's not like it's not sort of pixel hunting or anything. You are just like walking around and sort of pressing A on things, talking to people. And like, it mainly seems to revolve around conversations. But I was just really impressed with the writing. Like, it just has like an incredibly natural flow to it. Like, so many sort of dialogue-driven games, like even like some of the very best ones. You're always very aware of like, so here's all your conversation options. Then you might pick one, and that essentially brings you to like a subset of questions you can ask. And you're looking at the list like, oh well, like here's the option I click to go back to the previous menu of conversation options.
Yeah, I want to do this again.
Or whatever.
That wasn't what I wanted. It's like,
yeah, exactly. Like, and I understand it, and obviously, as a player, you sort of want those things to be clear, but it's supposed to be a conversation, and yet it feels like, you're working through a system, right, or a tree of dialogue options. Whereas this just feels natural, like it just feels like having a conversation. Like you're still aware of how you're directing the conversation and whether or not you're going off on a tangent or closing off like a certain, line of questioning or whatever. But it's all just subtly written enough that you're not something, oh, well, that's the option to go back to the previous menu or the previous level in the conversation tree or whatever. And I just really enjoyed it. It got very dark towards the end, which I wasn't really expecting. But yeah, just brilliant writing, lovely art style, and I'm really, really excited for that to come out.
Do you know when this is actually coming? Like, is it soon? Because I
think it's this year. I don't think they've specified beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's all I know. I follow the devs on Twitter just because so this was a game that I found out about purely because they just do like shit posts about raccoons on Twitter. They barely actually talk about the game. They just post stupid jokes. And that was kind of what endeared me towards it in the first place. But yeah, it turns out that the game's really good as well. Last one, I've been having a go on the Disco Elysium Final Cut.
Wow, I've heard so many things about this.
Yeah. Oh, go on. What, like?
Mostly not good.
Well, I've heard that I've heard some people really enjoying it, but I've also heard that the console versions, in terms of playing it on a pad, is not great.
Yes, I've also heard that.
And also, there seems to be a lot of game-breaking bugs floating about.
It's mostly the bugs I've heard about, which is really disappointing.
Oh shit! Okay, so I'd heard about the PlayStation version being knacked. I haven't tried. I believe the controls are in the PC version as well now, but I haven't tried them yet. It's a shame because obviously, so I'm playing, the new PC version, which you get as a free upgrade. But obviously, the main thing here was that console players are finally going to get involved, or PlayStation players, I guess. So the fact that they're all getting a shitty experience is a huge shame.
It's all I've not played it, so I can't really comment on it. But it's just opinions that I've read here and there.
Yeah. But I mean, for what it's worth, having gone back as a PC player and starting it again, the new voice stuff they've added is fucking incredible. The narrator. Just has this unbelievable voice, and the amount of stuff he's had to read. So literally all the narration is voiced, and all the the stuff that your thoughts come out with mid conversation is all voiced by this one guy. He just does an absolutely incredible job. It's amazing hearing the actor who plays Kim. Doing all his lines, obviously it gives voices.
Did they change the voice of Kuno?
They have.
That is disappointing.
That's
controversial. I actually don't mind the new one. For one thing,
it's kind of like Charles Martinet not being asked to do the 2021 Super Mario movie, right? Or 2022 Super Mario movie, where it is you kind of get it. Because that amount of Charles Martinet is not going to be great.
Have they toned him down then? Because that's...
They have, both in terms of the pitch and his accent. It's still very Scouse, but it's definitely softened quite a bit. But also, the other reason I didn't mind so much is because, Kuno in particular, his voice, was really badly recorded, I thought, in the original game. It was
it was piercing. It was what do you call it? It was peaking.
Yeah, it was,
you know what I mean?
It's distorting. Really absolutely.
It was
no qualms about them redoing that, to be honest.
It was one of those ones that sounded like an audio file. When you hear it, it's
yes,
yeah,
exactly.
It was where you could hear the buzz before they started speaking. Yeah,
well, this is it, wasn't it? In the original, there were so much, what little voice acting there was. A lot of it, you were this, someone's recorded this at home, and it sounds like it. Whereas, everything I've heard in the new version, the recordings are absolutely sublime. It sounds amazing, and just even early on, getting to hear classier and stuff. You meet outside your hotel room, and her dialogue, and and there's scenes that I'm actually really anxious about, because I think hearing them fully voiced is going to be really upsetting and stuff. But that's that's part of the game, I guess. So yeah, I've really enjoyed going back to it, and I'm pretty sure I'm up for another full playthrough, but it is a huge shame that the PlayStation version's a bit foot. And it's also a shame that again, that this was supposed to be the big it's on consoles now, fucking everyone get involved, whereas actually it's just the PlayStation for now, and it's not a very good version so far. So maybe put some of that money from your 300 quid jackets towards sorting the PS5 port out.
It's a direct transition, is it?
Yeah, that's how it works.
Of funds.
Yeah. But yeah, that's it from me. Cool. Just to acknowledge as well, like we did have a few questions from people saying, "Are you going to do the spoiler cast now?" I think even if we do, it's going to be a way off, right? Because we've all got stuff to play, and I think we'd all rather do another run before doing the spoiler cast.
I'd rather brush up on it.
I want to play the Switch version. That's what I want to play it on. It's
well, this is it, and we don't know how long we're going to be waiting for the Switch version yet. So it's soon apparently. But then, given that the PlayStation 1 appears to have come out half cocked, maybe not that soon after all on the other versions.
Yeah, delaying it a little bit is the right way to go.
Yeah, so we'll see. Okay. But I would still really like to do that. I think it's still a way off.
Again, we got to what you've been playing at 50 minutes, and I thought, fuck, it's going to be a short show, and now look at us. Fuck. Let's get to questions.
You know how we do it.
If you want to send us a question, go to tcgs.co/Dear TCGS. Polly Pressure Cooker says, Dear TCGS, how much would it cost to be placed at the top of the full Nels list? Is this a position money can buy? Keep up the good work. I don't think it is it? I think we agreed.
No, it isn't. And it should never be.
Yeah.
No, that's it.
I mean, we can't do that. That'd be horrible. I don't like that.
No way. No, I mean, that's the list.
Yeah, I mean, how much would it cost? However much it costs for you to outlast every other current full Nels member.
Yeah. Correct.
Peter Patisserie Platter says, hello, James Master. Says, hello, James Master. I'm having a little trouble beating the locked door in David Cage's critically acclaimed thriller Heavy Rain. Do you have any tips?
Yeah, sure. To unlock the door in David Cage's critically acclaimed thriller Heavy Rain, I would recommend utilising the PlayStation motion controllers. I think you'll find it a lot easier if you do that. So try that. Yeah.
Cool. Wilson Whisk says, I've been listening to your old Game of the Year and E3 episodes, and it's been very funny listening to you all talk excitedly about games that turned out shit, like Anthem and Cyberpunk. The latter, quote, looking like Fallout but plays better. I mean, I'd probably still stand by that. But, what upcoming big release that looks great do you think will flop incredibly hard? I can't help but feel that Dragon Age will be rubbish no matter how good the screenshots look. I mean,
first question, what upcoming big release? I can't think of any.
Well,
that's the problem.
This is it.
Halo Infinite.
Yeah.
Halo Infinite.
Oh my God.
Halo Infinite.
Did we all see Kotaku running a story on a very obviously fake tweet?
They've been delayed to next year.
Brilliant.
Brilliant.
But yeah, I mean, certainly I share concerns about Dragon Age just because the last great BioWare game has been a long time now. Like, I really hope this is what pulls them back from the brink. But I
mean, Dragon Age needs to be exceptional.
Yep.
Anything less than that.
Yeah.
Based on absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Breath of the Wild 2.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Well, it's going to be shit, Dave. Is that what you think?
No, I think everyone's going to go, is this it? Like, I think that's what it's going to be.
It's an impossible...
The question is, do you think it will flop incredibly hard?
No, it won't flop incredibly hard, but
then you could argue that Cyberpunk didn't flop, right?
Yeah, it sold loads.
Good point. It sold like 13 million copies.
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild 2.
I mean, Anthem definitely flopped. But
Breath of the Wild 2 will probably end up being like Majora's Mask. It'll come out and everyone will be like, oh, this is not that good. But then later on, everyone will be like, oh, actually, no, it is the best one. It's actually great.
Yeah.
Something I picked up on last week that I when listening back is you mentioned about how Asher played Breath of the Wild, and you said, if you complete this, I'll buy you the sequel. Like you were never buying the sequel.
Well, yeah, obviously.
but also, and then my brain went, James is going to buy 2 copies of that game, isn't he?
No. Oh, God, yeah.
No, of course I'm not.
Oh, no?
James, you will.
Not
what? Yes, you
No,
are.
I won't. I don't.
4 copies.
No, I don't. The only game I've done that for is Animal Crossing. We share cartridges for all the rest of the stuff. In fact, I buy everything on cartridge for that reason.
You won't share the next fucking Zelda
game.
Don't be ridiculous.
No.
I shared Hyrule Warriors.
Oh, I'm going to play the next Zelda game. Oh, no, actually playing it.
Yeah, sorry. Come back in 80 hours.
Also, I misspoke about that anyway. It wasn't actually buy Breath of the Wild 2. It was actually to buy... He wanted to buy the DLC for it before he played it. And,
God.
Well, yeah, he's in for a disappointment there.
Actually, no, it wasn't DLC. It was a Snickers. if you finish it, you'll get a whole...
And it wasn't for him, it was for me.
You get a can of Coke. You get a nice... But one of the small ones. Not made of money.
I mean, Breath of the Wild 2 is like an impossible thing, right? It's never going to please everyone.
Yeah, but I think they're going to go in the wrong direction with it.
Do you reckon?
I think it's going to be a lot harder, less accessible. Yeah, obviously the sense of discovery is not going to be there, is it?
Well, this is it. Yeah, like because Breath of the Wild worked because it was such a departure, but also
set in the same fucking place, Matt.
But yeah.
Well, yeah, but there can be new things to discover.
Okay.
I mean, just because it's in exactly the same location.
I mean, if it's the same location, but like the world has sort of really, begun to rebuild, I think that'd be really interesting. But
I thought it was a prequel. Was it not a prequel?
No, it's a sequel.
I don't know.
It's definitely a sequel.
Okay.
Are you thinking of Hyrule Warriors 2?
Probably.
He's definitely
based
thinking
on
of that.
Sean's 4 hours of playtime with that game. Yes,
it's a true sequel. And it's one of the best games of 2020.
Actually, Ash is playing it at the moment, and I got roped into helping him with bits of it. Then it turned out I got quite annoyed because we were doing it and it was really hard. And I was like, I don't remember it being like this. He'd switched it to hard, like in the options. It's very annoying. It took about 45 minutes.
Your child is one of the Get Good crowd. Amazing.
She's like, what have you done this? Gamer. I can't do this.
Hurt my fingers.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, back to James's point, like, now that Cyberpunk's out, what else is there on the horizon that's supposed to be the new fucking, oh my god, this is nothing, this is nothing like anything we've seen before?
Nothing.
It's Starfield, I guess, maybe?
Oh yeah, that could be shit. I mean, it's Bethesda, so I don't really like their games. So
people are pumped for Deathloop. Maybe that, but I don't think that'll be a flop.
No, that'd be class.
Fucking great.
I mean, Arcane's games have never sold millions, right? So it could commercially, it could be a bit of a wet fart.
Could be.
But it looks great.
I think Halo Infinite is the one that stands out.
Yeah, I know, but I think expectations are pretty low for that now. I don't think they're very high.
That's true.
I don't know. Still a new Halo.
No, they're low for people who are properly into it, but everyone else, when the millions of our people are like, new Halo game.
For the people that aren't into it.
Normal people.
No, I'm thinking like the people who are like, looking at the blog or looking at screenshots, but the people who are like, oh, new Halo game, that's different.
Yeah.
They're probably expecting incredible new Halo
Those
game.
people deserve what they get, Matt. All right.
Suck it.
I beg your pardon.
Sorry,
Where
that
did
was
that come from?
I don't know.
We were talking about Halo Infinite, but not being as good as we expected, and you just went, "Suck it." It's just a weird moment.
Maria Mendieta says, "Dear TCGS Co-N brothers."
Yeah,
good.
That's good.
That works.
Yeah. What I always remember about your Game of the Year shows is how you try to bend each other's will. Packed double crosses and flat-out embarrassments are just some of the strategies on display to win votes. What I do not remember are the use of fetch quests, yet somehow video game designers think that people are persuaded to join a cause if you collect 10 pieces of tat for them or retrieve a key from a stranger in another town.
Hang on. Matt did offer me pizza one year.
Every year.
Yeah, but you didn't say to him, look, if you sort me out with a Domino's. I think that's the tone.
James didn't say, if you collect 10 toppings.
He was.
I need 10 pieces of salami for this pizza. And then I'll.
He was like, would you like something delivered from Just Eat? That was the thing.
One young do that, James, and you're going to say yes, and then you have to vote the game.
Oh, can you imagine that? We're just halfway through the show, and then someone's like, sorry, someone's knocking at the door, and like, it's just a fucking pizza, and then on the little like delivery comments bit, it's like, vote for fucking Breath of the Wild 2. Anyway, so Maria says, which real-life argumentation tactics would you like to see in games that rely on recruiting party members? I mean, yeah, fast food. I think that's definitely the one, right? You meet someone cool, and you're like, oh, I need your help with this quest, and they say, well, look, get us some fried chicken.
No, that's not an argument. That's not an argument technique, though, is it?
Bribery,
I suppose. Yeah,
that'd be like what pizza to buy. That's where that would come in. And they go, you shouldn't have pineapple on a pizza. It's dessert and dinner in one. And you go, right, well, I'm not recruiting you to my team.
Why not more like digging up dirt on people that you could then use against them to have to force them to join you?
100%.
Just blackmail. Yeah,
I'm afraid I'm not going to join your party, but you only played that game for 3 hours. Okay, I'll join you.
Please don't tell anyone. Yeah, not enough blackmail in games. Everyone on your team is there because they want to be, not because you've got holding some piece of information.
Not enough blackmail in games these days, is there? Fucking
no.
Yep. Good answer.
Actually, no, I mean, I'm thinking about that, and I feel like that's actually a good point. Like, there's never been an RPG where it's like someone's in your squad because they've just got no fucking choice. Like, you're actually basically forcing them.
Yeah, you've got pictures of them.
Yeah.
You've checked their achievements. That's a good one.
Yeah. Well, that's a good one. Yeah, done.
Charlie Chest Freezer. Charlie Chest Freezer says, "What is your favourite use of an egg in a computer game?"
It's got to be Chucky egg, innit?
I was going to say Dizzy.
Heavy Rain when they cook
I'm a dizzy man, but
those Dizzy games were not very good, were they?
Dizzy. No, yeah. I'd take an egg and turn him into fucking Indiana Jones. Yeah, have that.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah,
give arms and legs and a face and a girlfriend with nice hair.
Surely, if you're going for cooking an egg, that's Metal Gear Solid 4, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was a very good bit.
Yeah, that was a 4-hour cutscene.
Yep. Dragon's Dogma, where the eggs, along with other food items, could go rotten whilst in your possession.
Good point. Yeah. Chuck them at someone's house, like at Halloween in an American teen film.
Have eggs ever been a weapon in a game? Does Bully have?
Oh, they must have. Bully must have chucking eggs at people. I'm pretty sure he does.
Yeah. Right, last one. MD Kabuffs says, if you were ruler of your own country, what would you name it, and what would be the first law you would introduce?
Easy.
James is like, I thought he wasn't going to read this one out.
I was thinking, look, come on, look. It's
this is easy. It would be called Daveland, and the law would be no one's allowed in.
Well, it's
Fuck
just you
guys.
It's just you on a hill.
It's just me.
You're right there, Nigel.
Yeah.
I was going to say, very stringent.
So good.
Yeah, policy on the
No, because the difference is, James, we won't have a flag because who gives a fuck, and we'll have no national pride because it's just me. We'll be too busy playing Knockout City.
Yep.
And beat
Maybe that's what you should call your country. Knockout City. Yeah.
Yeah.
Population
knock the fuck out.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I shouldn't have read this out because I haven't got an answer for it at all. I'm too tired. James is right. James is right.
This is the kind of one you open with. You don't end with something like this. It's mad.
No, I think I just thought it's classic, like 11:30 delirium question. It's good. It's going to be good. And it's. Can I just
say we're all sounding like James tonight? And my excuse is, for the past 3 months, Charlie has just woken up between the hours of 2 and 5.
Yeah.
Just, that's it now. I'm so fucking done. I can't even tell you. So tired.
Are you looking forward to him just like doing normal wake ups for about a week, and you're like, oh my god, this is it, and then he's back to the 2 a.m. bullshit?
Yeah, that's happened. That's
already. Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking at the clock now. It is 11:25. I think an hour and a half. I've got to be up again. Like it's just. It's horrendous.
Matt, do the socials.
Yes. So Sean, All Creatures Great and Sean is over.
Dead.
Correct.
I've got something else in the pipeline, but probably not this week or
not this week.
Next.
So no stream on Thursday, but on Friday, James and I are streaming It Takes Two. That's Friday night at 9 p.m. But on Monday, the Monday after that, Monday the 12th, we're doing a live 5th birthday podcast live on twitch.tv/TCGSco. You can watch this podcast recorded live on Twitch.
Let's get the buzz going on Twitter for this one. Tell people about this live show, this live podcast. Let's get the numbers in. Come on.
Yeah, because we always
have a
forget
really
to
good
properly
night next week.
Get it sorted. So we've got a week now. This is happening.
Monday 12th. It's not like anyone's going out But, you know, if you should we watch something on Netflix tonight? No. Watch us. It'll definitely be quite good. Are we going to try and do, like... We can't really do, like, funny visual things, right? Because then it's just shit for people who listen to the actual podcast. But I don't know, we'll try and think of something.
What are you thinking?
I don't know. Nothing, I'm not breaking terms of service or anything.
No.
Unless people are, unless
people want that.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's see how many subs come in.
Unless we get 10 subs, in which case, knobs out.
Yeah, James has a shower.
Oh, I'm not doing that on stream.
On the stream, I mean, not just like, oh, thank God, James has finally had a shower. Like, you get to watch him do it.
Where'd that come from?
10 subs and James will finally wash this year.
Like a Yakuza character.
So Friday it takes two, but Monday is the big one. Tell your friends, tell your enemies. They're all on twitch.tv/TCGS, as I mentioned. If you've got Amazon Prime, you've got Twitch Prime Gaming, and bring your subs, bring your friends, and bring your subs.
Don't even have to watch it, just fucking pay up.
If you're not watching it live, if you miss it live, or if you miss any of our streams live, you can search for TCGS on YouTube, and It Takes Two stream and all the other streams are up on our channel, and we're on Patreon, patreon.com/TCGS. Our monthly podcast will probably be happening in the next couple of weeks, as will our Talks Over, and TCGS.co is a website where there's a store to get lovely TCGS merch before the sun starts coming out again. That's it.
Right. Thank you so much for living it. We'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Cheers.
See you next week live.
Goodbye.
Bye.